Again, why does it feel so hard to breathe? Why does it feel so hard to breathe? So hard to breathe. Never found, but these voices bring me to my knees. Again, why do you waste your light on me?
You'll still have common days. Get caught in traffic during your commute. Overthink a text message. Get a song stuck in your head. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Welcome in, all you NECC faithful. It's time for the NECC Nationals. These forged trials are presented by the Army National Guard. The Uncommon is calling at NationalGuard.com, and you guys are going to be coming with us as we call to arms all our great teams that are set to get themselves some crowns and some hardware. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside one of the greatest faces, voices. Pretty much all your five senses will be enthralled by their existence. They will be luminescence as an earth sign. It is Bear Light joining me in the booth one last time here for NECC. The virtual landscape continues to thin itself of those that tried but simply could not. Division 4 and Division 2 later on this evening will be crowning themselves some champions. Bear Light, how you feeling? It's a wonderful Wednesday and you've got just a little over a week before you're heading down to San Antonio. How are things going?
I'm excited, man, for all of it, from start to finish here. And I was going to say it's just another great Wednesday, but it's the Wednesday for a lot of these students, every single player in here looking for that title for Nationals. And I could not be more excited to be here to watch these teams go at it to try to earn that title as well. We've got Division 4 we're kicking off with, so let's get right to it, Monkey Man, and talk about the two teams ahead of us. I'm excited for the Nationals as well down, but first, we take care of this. It's Ashland University from Ashland, Ohio versus Minnesota State Mavericks from Mankato, Minnesota as well. You see the rosters on your screen now, Monkey.
You've got Conspire, G7, and Silent Wolf on the side of the Eagles out of Ashland, Ohio. And then for Minnesota State Mavericks out of Mankato, Minnesota, you've got Wubbock, Flo, and King Khan. These are two solid squads that have had slightly different ways to get to where we are right now. A bit of Division 5 play in the fall for the Eagles out of Ashland, and they did really darn well, taking second place in that Great Lakes division on the side of Minnesota State. They started in Division 4 and upgraded after winning the Midwest, going all the way to Division 3, where they hit a stumbling block, but they decided after hitting that first one, they're like, you know what? We're going to come on back. So let's talk about the likes of the Eagles. I think that Ashland has been able to give you some good old uncommon traits that have really given them a pathway for success here, Bear.
Yeah, let's check out the uncommon traits now by the Forge Trials presented by Army National Guard. First, we can start off, yes, with the Ashland team crunching the numbers. All three of the starters are going to be finance majors. They're finance majors, so obviously they're doing some number crunching. They're seeing exactly what they're going up against, and they should know it when they get onto the pitch. And a conspiracy theory, as we saw, Conspire will be lining up here for Ashland tonight, and so we really look towards his goal scoring, his ability to create chances on the offensive side of the ball. This is exactly why Conspire is looking to be that theory, see if they can't be that offensive presence that they have been all season long. And of course, Brotherhood, as they are all members, including their sub, Razors as well, are members of the same fraternity, Phi Psi. And of course, they have their saying as well, the great joy of serving others. We'll see if these players can serve each other with some nasty assists, maybe find some goals as well, see if they can't find that chemistry early on, Monkey.
It's a really cool concept that all three of these guys coming from, they work with the same major, they work with the same fraternity, and they're working well together. Maybe that's going to be leading them forward. They're 18-2 across this academic year. Across this spring, after upgrading from Division 5 to 4, they are undefeated. They want to try and keep that streak going. They're going to have to do it straight into the full force of the Mavericks from out of Minnesota State University, Mankato. And there's a lot of work to be done. Youth and experience is going to be helping this squad along. They've got a couple of freshmen in both Flo and King Khan, and then a very, very well-decorated junior in the form of Wubbock, who does have that challenger tag for both the 2025 as well as 2026 season. RLCS is where the pros go, and they've been trying to basically poke their way into that upper echelon of competition. Go with the flow. This is a team that has been able to move upwards, but realizing their limits, at least as it were, to try and then come back to their roots and try to get that movement. Flow is also a player that apparently at one point was paralyzed for 3 months. So knowing how to be able to adapt, overcome, and appreciate what you got. This is a team that knows that they want to continue to at least compete here in Division 4, but you also got to be able to find inspired action. This is one of the tenets of Minnesota State Mankato. They know that these Mavericks are independent. They are trendsetters, and maybe some of that inspired action will be able to guide them along the way. And of course, these uncommon traits are brought to you by the Army National Guard. The uncommon is calling, nationalguard.com. All these traits put together, Bear, means that we've got a heck of a showdown here in Division 4. It's best of 7, and looking at the success strung together over an entire academic year out of Ashland, it feels like the Eagles are ready to soar, but the Mavericks, they're going to try and bring in game number 1 as we kick off into this series.
The Mavericks, of course, bringing in Wubik. We'll see if he's rocking the RLCS 2025 and 2026 Challenger tag as well as a bit of a flex here. You know, you can really get in their heads. Plus, for Minnesota State Mavericks, I've seen it before, specifically with Post University, where they won a division, they go up a division, didn't go as great, but they come back down, and they're in the national finals of their own. But G7 kicks us off early as Ashland University, the first to strike.
Inspire just skirting this along and gets 2 to bite off of a heck of a flick off of their bumper, and that's going to be G7 putting it away. If they don't score it themselves, you get to see Conspire really work this pitch for what it is, opening up opportunities, and what a great first serve.
Exactly how you want to start. Set the pace early, especially in your national championship here at NECC. But you see them go right back to work. Minnesota State looking to put some pressure of their own as they had trapped the zone temporarily. And Flo will go right back at it with a sidewall opportunity, looking for a bump out in front, but none available. But a good back pass here, looking for King Kong, but that one interrupted early by the Eagles and Ashland University. Great slow play, up and over, make it 2-0.
Conspire recognizing that he's got 2 defenders cycling into the same venue. Wubik has to turn away after getting their boost, and they're caught going into the near side post. No one goes out to challenge Conspire. The apprehension from out of the defense of the Mavericks really makes this one look difficult. So Minnesota State, they will suffer under the pressure of Conspire.
We talked about how much of a presence he is offensive-wise, and we're seeing that already manifest itself early in this game number 1. So expect Minnesota State to look for an answer, but Ashland's done a great job to get things going. But they look for flow here, as Minnesota State look to press it in the box, but that one can be fielded off the back wall. Here as Wubik looks to settle into things, but it's only temporary, as again it'll be shut down and pushed right back into the zone here by Ashland.
Finally seeing maybe an ounce of movement, a heartbeat on the side of Minnesota State. Like this touch right here as Wubik has continuously been challenged straight to the face out of Ashland Eagles players. That is a great challenge by Conspire. If this one's not cleaned up well from the backboard, you had someone lurking, that silent wolf. You may not see them or hear them all the time, but they are deadly when they find an opportunity. G7 off of this challenge, getting a nice demo, might be able to do something more. Oh, the back man, even with a step away, had a chance at it.
We saw Minnesota State jump on it earlier, but Ashland's still looking for those cross-seam passes. I like that they're staying really true to their identity here, looking for those open opportunities, not giving away possession. That's been really good of them being able to find one another. We'll see if that continues. Conspire with an absolute banger of a pinch. It actually sets up a pass and an opportunity there on the far post, but it will be shut down. Conspire right back at you off the bar, but Wubik was able to calmly work that off the goal line.
This has been 3 separate times that Conspire's been forcing a lot of these Maverick players to have to squint and recognize that is that degree of that touch just enough. You bring it around that near side bar, and sometimes you kind of let one loose for free. And then when they don't challenge into it, it all becomes Eagles territory deep into the orange half. Now we're well over the midway mark of game number 1. Minnesota State feels like more of a fledgling crew right now with the speed that Conspire's been able to find it. They're going to have to trust in Conspire to get that nice defensive touch. Wubik can't make this read. Conspire stays very well supplanted to the backboard. Minnesota State looking at opportunity.
The Mavs have a great chance here. A good fake there from Wubik, but it was right all the way as Ashland was able to get to it first. This one will come right back off the ceiling. back down to center, but Conspire's after it and ready for it as well. As this one will hit the ground, and King Kong will chase after it. He'll play high and look in. G7 had him beat, and a bump there from Silent Wolf will also open the door. A couple of extra touches. The defense backwards. Once again, we're talking about how Ashland is just laying it on and making it awkward for the Mavericks. The Mavericks, they're finding little spots and trying to get that transition game going, but they haven't been able to strike, at least not yet.
Those moments of attack that we're getting out of the Eagles is when everyone is rotating into the box out of Minnesota State. They are facing their own net. Oh, might have to be able to shut this one down. It goes very honestly all the way back out. You have two players out of Minnesota State colliding with one another. Can't quite capitalize yet, but it's given up a ton of territory in favor of Ashland. And Minnesota State continues to be on the back foot. Game number one, not treating them kindly.
And again, you see Flo backwards, allowing King Khan to get right back to it. Lubbock's now with a little bit of space to work with, but again shut down by Conspire as he punches it back in. King Khan right back out, has 100 boost as he chases as well. Looking as Conspire does a great job of handling that away from Flo and being able to get it out of the corner to kill some more clock. Lubbock's right to it, tries the bump play, but Silent Wolf was just stronger to be able to get around that one and make it a touch.
Half a minute remaining. Minnesota State needs a reminder that they can be able to put together an offense. That's a great strike. It will go wide, though. I like the overall idea of that connection. The pass is really starting to permeate. The problem for them is that there's not a lot of time to really be able to let them at least be telegraphed over time. Conspire wants to challenge. Lubbock runs out of boost, and there's Silent Wolf. Might be able to get this lift. They do so, and this will burn just enough. Game number one was all in hand for the Eagles. And Minnesota State's going to have to go recoiling into later games. Lubbock and company will get one for the road. This one is all drafted down.
Ashland will definitely take the win here. And it looks like stretch passes will be the answer. That one just going off the backside of a defender there. But Ashland does the job here. The Eagles take the first one here in this best of 7. And of course, you know, when we talk about nationals here at the NECC, they're going to be close matchups, that's for sure. And we're seeing exactly a prime example of this. Ashland controlled it for majority of the game, yes. Minnesota State, though, as long as they can clean up a little bit defensively, I didn't exactly like every single chance in settling down that I saw from them defensively either. They had to play a lot of it, but then once they were able to transition down, they looked like they could strike, like they had those opportunities. And if they can clean up defensively and get a clean run at them, we can see that it can be successful. Now, that doesn't take away Ashland's 4 minutes and 55 seconds where they were able to take the lead and run with it, actually the full 5 minutes essentially. So really both ways, seeing a lot of good things for Ashland, just trying to continue on with it as the Eagles are able to take that advantage early.
I mean, a lot of that was built upon what Conspire did, not even doing it fast. Did it just with patience, but just on their toes, ready to take advantage of where Minnesota is giving up a gap. And that's going to be where so much of this game is won, is being able to be a bit quirky and a bit cheeky of how sneakily you get into someone's backline. It was happening a lot. Minnesota State, they found some promise, found a longer point of the midfield. Flo, they are equal parts music education and computer science major, by the way. So trying to hit that good old double major and maybe some of that extra look into this one for their education will give them a learning curve to be able to get beyond Ashland.
Solid point. Look at that one. Just a doink there will start things off. And first lead here for the Mavs. As we saw this set up by King Khan in the beginning, they are trying to find those passes in early. The 1-2-3 punch. Successful for the Mavs early.
That's fantastic work. Not giving up on the play, looking to either sweep someone or just doink it off your car. So finally able to get not just the one before and at the end point of the game, but one early on here. Ashland's caught unawares. G7 gonna lose that challenge as Flo finds it early, gets a whole corner boost. It's gonna be a thinned out field trip as Ashland suddenly, wow, they look a little bit lackadaisical, finding kind of their 1s and 2s, but they're allowing Minnesota State to have a lot of territory.
King Khan trying to use a little bit of that space as well. Able to drive it into the box, but wasn't able to find it. Wubik stays with it. Almost able to crash it himself. Now G7 on the exit pass. They've got a quick passing play. It develops so quickly, and of course it's Conspire to finish. It's an equalizer here for the Eagles.
lulling us into a false sense of security. G7 to Conspire is just McNasty. Look at the way that they just take that dagger down that midline. And G7 knew that they had the space and the heads up go-ahead nod from Conspire to toss it to him. So, a couple of demos traded between these squads after we equalize at 1. Minnesota State, they won't be given all this free space too often. They got to work with what they got.
They work it in. G7 in. They'll cycle around here in rotation. An opportunity at the midfield, but a double demo here from Ashland. So even though they're working backwards and are being threatened, they will have time to outlet themselves into the zone of the Mavericks. Here as Minnesota State loses possession, just lost the handle. Now this one should come down to Conspire. A great job on the back check from Flo to shut it down.
That was wild. They had to be able to get the entirety of that bumper around that car. Otherwise, that was going to be a shot and a leading chance for the Eagles. Minnesota State, they've done a better job of separating themselves. I feel like some of their traffic on the defensive half was a little bit too hung up, and this one's going to be Flo from downtown. It wasn't exactly a full breakdown of the defense. G7 went for this challenge, but Flo just waited for a nice timing.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were getting bullied on the back line. Conspire was a little bit too far forward in that moment, and I saw a member of the Mavs downfield in the corner, and so either way, they were able to find an open net, able to capitalize on it. Ashland certainly wants that situation back if they could, because you got to have support even if one member is back and getting bumped, especially when it was so obvious that the Mavs have possession. Either way, Minnesota State up to that 2-1 lead. Good news for them is they had their first lead dissipate pretty quickly after, as Ashland was able to equalize, but now that they're back on top, they've proven that they can continue and be relevant here on the top of the scoreboard as things develop in.
Good veteranship by Wubbock is making sure that his boys stay good and just in clear sights and sounds of this. Nothing is won in a single game of a best of 7 until late term. Start of this series has gone a lot more patient, a lot more methodical. Minnesota State is winning some space from the sidewall. Man, what a banging clear as Conspire says, nah, return to sender, address unknown out here. Silent Wolf trying to turn the corner. But from that near side post, there's still been a couple of leads found by the Mavericks. Looking for the dunk. What a save by Conspire.
Yeah, he was there in a hurry. And now Conspire looks to turn it downfield, but King Kong shuts it down. Now a pass a little bit too hot to handle there as G7 really did showcase where he was. So that was on Conspire to try to find it, be able to finish. But it was not to be here with G7 again. Demos this time from Wubbock, as Minnesota State starts to show some physicality of their own to finally combat some of what the Eagles have thrown at them. And it remained here on top with a minute 14 left. And you see Wubbock with a slow play, and you see Flo now finding King Khan. A great passing play develops yet again for Minnesota State, but that one just a giveaway as G7 able to transition it down. And they're finally in the offensive zone, which is where they need to be. Slow play there from Silent Wolf, but it is answered quickly by the Mavs. Extra shot, but that one shut down as well.
Dangerous moments, but not too dangerous that the Eagles cannot find it. As you had a couple of looks, Conspire had a fantastic save and a great shot after G7 was able to send it to him a little bit ago. Silent Wolf is going to burn through everything that's left. This one's just quirky. This is working to the back hexagons. G7 doesn't see Flo as everyone is parked to the back line. So just as Minnesota State was in the most awkward position possible, Ashland was running out of gas.
And it seems like the slower that Ashland plays, the more Minnesota State has kind of fallen for it to some degree. And this is a grand opportunity as well, but there's somebody feeling it off the back wall. G7 can't quite hit the touch. Conspire looking to direct it in as well. Down to 5 seconds left here. This one off the sidewall. Opportunity as the shot, but it's going to go wide. And shut down as they try to pass it back mid. But Minnesota State would not be denied there. They're able to get the defensive stand as well as they equalize the series. One apiece after the 2-1 win here.
All of you out there in the chat, if you see Ramen Dragon, they usually bring us a sweep curse. That's not happening today. Rocket League Magic is working in big ways as we're going to go to game number 3 now, all tied up. And it felt like Minnesota State had a lot more. You're talking about like stretch plays. They definitely took this pitch and just was like grabbing it from both sides and elongating it as much as they absolutely could, because they forced a lot more 1v1s. And I'm not saying like direct quarter. It was like, all right, you see me in this zone, you're going to have to kind of pull back and you have to shadow me from afar. And a lot more of that was happening. Whereas Ashland at the beginning of game number 1 was corralling all the Eagles and forcing them to really awkward rotations. It felt like Wubbock's veteranship was able to really get everyone to just more calmly separate from Minnesota State. So we go dead even as we hit game 3.
Looks like Razors was trying to teach his opponents the exercise science that he studies, running them in circles and whatnot. But we got Minnesota State with that victory here in game 2 and looking to build off that. And Ashland wasn't too far off themselves as that shot rang off the post. I mean, that was closer than I thought it was going to be originally.
That was right off the face of it. Any less, and that might have been bending underneath that weird 45. G7's going to have to find this off their hood, and that extra bounce makes it untenable for King Khan to try and capitalize. Everything's low to the ground right now. We have some of these that are coming from the wall. You get some extra demos. You had mentioned the physicality really coming into play from the Mavericks. This one seems to be very reactive off the floor.
Conspire will take it from G7. Clearly communicated in that instance. You don't see him steal away from your opponents or teammates like that. But G7 now trying to find Conspire right there in the box. Slow plays him as well. Great job for the defense to track that one. But Ashland continues that same game plan. They've been sticking with this play. They slow play him, let them commit, and be able to kind of work it around them. It's been working for them so far, but that time it just fell a little bit short.
And some good looks, and you can definitely tell that there is a level of, all right, we need to overread, but also not get basically fake checked from out of Conspire. Nice save. That's going to be a free touch. However, a takeaway by Flow. Making sure that no one gets it easily. Conspire's going to have to walk this one back, as this is just basically sent to the corner to give time for Minnesota State to be able to rotate out. This is the first time in 3 games we don't have a goal in the opening couple of minutes. We still have about 10 seconds before that second one ticks off the clock right now. But then a lot more of Ashland trying to see where they can stress test this one, trusting in the hood to make it work. But King Khan finally puts it to bed.
Minnesota State did a great job defensively to hold on by a threat as Ashland was threatening in, and then they work it right back down the pitch and able to find a little bit of space, and that's all they need. I was just about to credit Ashland, especially Conspire and G7 for working it back and forth and playing catch well on their offensive chances, but Minnesota State was able to use that against them as they both had recovered. Use that space to make it 1-0.
Fire with a booming clear. They're going to track down this ball as well as look for some extra boost. Steal some resources from out of Minnesota State, but the Mavericks have now had a couple of leads. Conspire and company and end up in a pinball situation, and Ashland will tilt it. We'll see it tilted against them.
That G7 and Conspire just backwards. They were so kind of confused about who was going to go for it. I'm not sure what happened as they were kind of backtracking a little bit, but Minnesota State, credit them for playing it behind them, a little bit of chip and chase, if you will. Gives them the 2-0 lead here with 2:34 left in game number 3. If you're just joining us, even crowns in the series, 1 apiece between these two teams. Nationals already off to an incredibly entertaining start. Now the Mavericks turn, but they get demoed. G7 leaves it for Conspire, and although Flo gets a touch, he gives away possession here to G7, but he's going to give it right back. Opportunity here, and now just a flick, and now they're confused, can't get back to it, and Wubbock will take that all day long, make it 3-0.
Wubbock with this little touch, slight delay, force it to the ground, and G7 maybe all of a step late, as Silent Wolf and G7 end up just unable to figure out what Wubbock is doing. Basically, Wubbock is trying to take on a similar role that Conspire was playing against his team. So maybe a little bit of bucking back at him. Minnesota State extends by 3.
Great place to be here. Scoring 6 out of the last 7 goals now in the series, dating back to game number 1. Having only allowed 1 from Ashland in game number 2, and has really been fine-tuning their gameplay. And taking it to Ashland. The Eagles have been very much grounded, but here's an opportunity for them to change that. Conspire try to go low. I like that move as King Kong had the back wall locked down, trying to get him to bite from that one, but nothing doing this time. I feel like Minnesota State's really starting to recognize when they try to get him to bite.
I like the midfield give and goes that we're also getting. We call it chip and chases at times. That's actually how I'd be able to eat my salsa. The Conspire puts a slow ball. All right, this one was caught from the corner as G7 has been looking for this kind of feed over and over again, and finally they get it beyond a Minnesota State defender. Conspire is just ready on the money.
And we're seeing why Conspire is such a good goal scorer as well. You saw the way he tilted his car backwards at the last second to put it exactly where it needed to go as well. Otherwise, that ball is high every single time. Just those micro adjustments are things that good players, it's just the difference between them. And I love seeing that here from Ashland as they needed a little bit of spark. Perhaps that's the one to get them started.
Silent Wolf, if they took that maybe more on the nose, we could have themselves immediately taking a shot. They do get a demo on the flow. This game is anything but over, but the clock is getting very low. Ashland, they have found a late-term spark here for game number 3. And the confusing state that they had put Minnesota State into at the beginning of this series is pretty much dissipated. Everyone's found a moment of calm, and everyone's been able to find themselves onto the pitch with purpose. Silent Wolf will field this one, but they are immediately challenged, and this is where Ashland is having to start from 0.
Conspire will be up. That touched the Silent Wolf, but that one was basically telegraphed there to that point in time. It was easy to read. And they get right back to it here. Off the back wall, they'll go. Minnesota State looking to stick it to that back wall. Conspire tracked it well, even though he was backwards. Able to reverse himself, but running out of time here. As they look to press in here, Conspire finds Silent Wolf. Tries to direct it back in, that close from giving themselves a chance, but they will run out of time ultimately. The Mavs will take game number 3 and move up to 2-1 here in the series. Holding off Ashland, although they looked pretty strong there in the second half of game number 3. They weren't able to do enough to muster a game win, and we'll have to wait until game 4.
Late term of that game was starting to look like everyone was wearing moon shoes. I don't know how many of you remember those or have just heard of them for the first time. Sorry. They're like little micro trampolines under your feet, and everyone was tripping while they wore them. But it felt like we had slowed down to an absolute crawl. We see mostly even shooting both sides of this pitch, but it felt like the majority of it came very, very late from out of Ashland. Minnesota State, otherwise off of the helm being held by Wubbock, they just are not letting this happen for free, and several times they were making Ashland look like they had not seen the pitch in a while, which both these teams have been kind of moving through these nationals very well, but Minnesota State in their last 3 matches have only allowed 4 games to be picked off of them, so efficiency is key.
That's right. Yeah, get it done when you can, and it's kind of weird, you know, when things actually do kind of slow down to that halt, essentially, that you were describing. You think that would actually play into the hands of Ashland versus Minnesota State because of the way of their styles, especially in the first couple of games, that would definitely favor Ashland. Now, that being said, their last minute and a half looked a lot stronger. They're certainly going to need a lot more of that in order to go up against this team, so really nobody making themselves heard. You know, Conspire's had some good looks, but he hasn't been scoring as much as we've seen in times past. And everybody else is looking to find ways to get everybody involved. Otherwise, it's been a demolition derby and a steadfast battle between these two.
This is looking very promising, though. Conspire, this is going to come off the ceiling. An honest shot by Silent Wolf. Conspire's already back, finds that big boost. And that's something that they're dominating here in the first 40 seconds. They've been able to take away the larger boost pads from Minnesota State. So a lot of these is just being able to small pads. How do you rotate from off of the perimeter? Silent Wolf to a back man. You have Conspire. Hopes to be able to just kind of run this down, get a nice challenge. Feels like that they want to go so much faster. The end point of that game was just down to maybe time warp mutations. Now this time around in the first minute, they at least want to go quick.
Move at that pace, set the pace. Flo's waiting for this one too. This one comes across, but G7 gets the demo and the clear. A 2-for-1, if you will. And Minnesota State will find the outlet pass as well, or leave a little bit of pressure, but gives away possession. But once again, it trades hands. We've seen that plenty of times, where it almost feels like the team to gain that possession might have the real ultimate advantage, especially in a series like this.
Feeling like I'm watching Conspire come off the leash a little bit. Now you have 2 defenders by Minnesota State. It's a well-stacked wall there by the Mavericks. They're starting all the way back, and they're choosing to receive some of this more frenetic play. Ashland maybe going a little bit more haywire, trying to kind of monkey mind and monkey ball their way through some of this, and seeing more of that wild play catches Minnesota State off guard. Wubbock is going to get rid of Silent Wolf, so there goes your first striker. G7 is going to try and keep this going. That's going to be a cut from off the side. The Silent Wolf, because of that demo, was a step behind.
And King Kong looked so uncomfortable in that moment, was able to fight it off nonetheless. We got G7 going right back to it, but a bit of a slip up here. Double commit here for Minnesota State. King Kong recovers, but for how long? You see everybody in support, and now Conspire has to be careful as he goes back to it. Every single player on this pitch feels like they're on a razor's edge. It is so tense right now on the pitch.
It really is, because you know which way this is going. You've got 2 in a row right now by Minnesota State. They know if they can get to a third, this might be Dunsky's. Oh, the off-pace play, trying to be able to get it back in. G7's nearby, but they can't get it beyond the defender. 3 great looks. Unfortunately for Ashland, they just can't get it over. That's going to be a huge arcing clear. They sink it in regardless. Conspire follows up opportunity.
It was little by little, almost like a tug of war, and then when you finally get that one pull that sends everybody packing there from Minnesota State, Ashland was gearing up for it. They're down 1 in the series, but up 1 in this game and feeling good about their chances about getting back into this one. Ashland's had the real majority of opportunities. It's got to feel really relieved after being able to put one in with how many chances they actually did have.
Pendulum swing, pendulum swung. The rhythm continues to go. That might math its way in. It will. G7 hits the parabola, and they dunk another one through. This one was from downtown last time it was touched, and unfortunately, that was off a defender.
I didn't know they do geometry as a prereq for finance, but clearly that's what we're seeing here. But
it's a little algebra too. A little bit of that one. Get the old negative X, if you will.
Combo.
It was a negative Y. Negative Y. My bad.
I see the vision. I see the vision. Yeah. 100%. We see G7 getting bullied. Conspire will put it right back in. We have traded punches, haymakers of games so far. I remember Minnesota State just a game ago. They were up 3-0 for majority of the game before finally Ashland struck in. Right now it's Ashland with the 2-0 lead. And right here, Minnesota State almost got scored on yet again, but Conspire's now going to be the one forced into the corner, as he'll find a passing play off this one. 47 in the tank. Great job to clear it. Oh, 45 flick is good. What a goal from Conspire.
Flick 'em and sick 'em all the way to the back line. Conspire off the dome and just quick in stride. That's the kind of play that we come to expect. Conspire can do it themselves. They can feed it to their teammates. And that's what we've been looking for. One good turn of 3 deserves another. The Mavericks did it unto the Eagles, and the Eagles, they strike back here in Game 4.
Hey, just because you have wings doesn't mean you have to use them, right? On paper, you know, it's Eagles have had their ground game working the best for them, in all honesty. That's when they've had their best chances, is pulling Minnesota State, who's expecting a high-level play, a high in the air play. But instead, it's been the ground game that's been dominant for Ashland here in game number 4. And actually, really, when they find success at all in this series, it's been because of their ground game. They've looked really sharp.
Both teams definitely can orchestrate some clever attenuations across this match. Just these one-on-ones, G7 and Conspire doing what Wubbock has been able to do at times, and Flo has had a fantastic defensive effort, especially through the previous couple of games. But this one has been just all the air going back into the sails of Ashland. The Eagles are on kind of cruise control at this point in time. As long as they continue to just rotate this one in very long stretches, we'll be going tied into Game 5.
Time killed off. It's been more and more like it. Semi-one-sided affairs, but it's certainly not been barn burners. We've seen opportunities kind of bounce back and forth. For sure, we've seen possessions go back and forth. And now we see the lead in this series, and or equalizer in this series, go back and forth as well. On the road here for the Eagles, it'll be a 2-2 even series the next time we play. And it all goes back to the ability to be able to create chances and finish them. I mean, this one was certainly a tale of Ashland University having chance after chance, grade A after grade A, versus limiting Minnesota State to very little chances and very little shots as well. You see only one put on the board.
That's 11 shots to 1. Yeah, we've been slowly seeing that slide back and forth. And this time around, I mean, the 1 for shot, 1 save, and they basically were at home. Whenever you have the commentators or any kind of analyst looking at your key defensive stats shining, you're not playing Rocket League in the best way that you want to, because you want to be able to pressure them by a defense that's found through your offensive aggression. And unfortunately for Minnesota State, none of that really existed this time around. They've really been dependent, I think, upon Wubik to get them up and down the pitch, finding some of those direct 50-50 challenges. For Conspire and G7, they let it hang loose. They got faster at the start of that game, Baron. I think that was their greater benefit, that before everything started getting corralled around and the cage started getting closed, they were able to burst onto the scene and they took control.
And it continued. Like, they've been adding things to their gameplay, but they've been staying true to what they wanted to do, which is basically slow play, pull them out of position, use their speed against them in Minnesota State and the Mavericks, or like at least their desperation, right? They're diving towards balls, and Ashland was able to take advantage of it that game. But all of that's being said, even with the 4-0 victory, they've only gained even ground here in this series as Minnesota State. That's why you build a lead early. They need to figure stuff out, surely, but right now, they've got the lead.
That was an awkward kind of transition of events. Oh, and this will be a direct shot. Conspire says, look, my teammates, they may have not known that you were going to miss on that. I don't care what you're going to do with this, because I'm about to just strike it straight into the back of your net. They outpaced the near side defender. Wubik couldn't catch up.
I'm surprised Conspired actually trusted his gut in what he was seeing on the pitch, because usually you're not given that kind of space when you bank it off the corner. It's maybe Minnesota State was trying to cycle back, maybe they didn't have the boost, but look at that crafty touch, as well as they try to get into the box as well. Ashland certainly been the better of the two teams. It's been a very streaky series in that Minnesota State, prior to this 5-0 run, have been just fighting them. And then sometimes when it rains, it pours.
Heck of a double touch, though. Conspire forced the defender to have to go for this off the near side wall, and unfortunately for Wubik, that is not the one that they want to see. Not the highlight you want to have. That's happened a couple times, and both from longer kind of midfield back stretch shots from out of Ashland. But you will capitalize. You have to play clean. That's going to be a bump onto Conspire, as Conspire is told to get out of there.
Surrender your ground. He answered the goal. Flo tries to answer as well, but beat to this one. We've said that, unfortunately, a few too many times here for the Mavs, and that flick is going to go just high, but the follow-up is good to go. Silent Wolf finally getting on the board. I believe that's his first, maybe second goal of the series, and Conspire set him up nicely.
Wubik trying to get back. Flo doing the same thing they've done a lot this series, which is reach over the shoulder of a would-be striker and try to bump them offline or get the ball away from them. But that was the reaction time that we're seeing out of the Eagles is impeccable. We are finding them taking away from the Mavericks whenever they give up possession, and they punish you almost immediately.
No hesitation, just right on you. It's the best way to play. Smell blood in the water. Got to be able to get onto him and make it count. Look at the bump play, though. So now the Mavs have some space to work with. It's Wubik. Goes over one. It'll be back wall to King Khan. Not sure if he got a little bit ahead of himself or if he's looking for a bump, but either way, he's out of position in that moment. Now Silent Wolf beats two members back. Ashland just tries to turn on it too. Desperate save. Another shot taken. Flo going to be able to save this one too, before falling into the same patterns that we saw last game, Monkey Man. Way too much defense taking place for the Mavs. Look at that play too. Conspire. Slow play and Musty 4-0.
There was like a straight 10 seconds where there was a collective 20 boost between everyone from out of Minnesota State. And then Conspire just comes out here and says, look, I got as much as what's on this pitch. I'm about to hit you with the old mechs. Find them, flick them, and end them. That is what Conspire is really putting forward. He's about to do it again. Goes underneath, trying to be able to find those on the floor. Conspire cannot be stopped.
Man, he has been on fire. Set up, you give him space, forget about it. Flipper, he said, didn't even need it. Essentially back down to the ground, able to get that touch in. 5-0. And 11 straight goals for Ashland over the last two games. They have been unbelievable. Unbelievable. And maybe even another one off the kickoff. Silent can't quite get to, but Ashland and the Eagles cannot say enough as Conspire. I mean, when are the Mavs going to take away his space? This man has been absolutely dynamic.
There's a little bit of copium. Minnesota State. There was a 4-0 one way, and then a 5-0 now. There's still some time, and you can be able to come back, slowly grind this out. You can't take these goals with you, but they definitely start to hurt. And if you're Minnesota State, the inevitability, if this stands, is that match point will be found against you. The Eagles are undefeated through this spring semester, and they're looking like they're right in the form that got them there.
No doubt about it. Ashland will still enjoy a 4-goal lead after this goal. Conspired gave this one away flow. And that recognition is what we want to see from the Mavs. It just hasn't been there the last couple of games. The story has been the Eagles just finding ways. And then once they get hot, they've been riding that flow as well. So really, they're taking tips from the Mavs side and putting it into their own gameplay because they have been just finding one another extremely well. They've been solo playing really well. I mean, they've been all around the better team the past couple of games.
Minnesota State needs to find some level of just kind of mental clarity. There is ways and means to get into this game, and even if you don't, you just need to calm everyone down. You know what stands before you and what the task is at hand to be able to get beyond this, because ultimately, if you do go down and match points in front, you have to be able to win 2 games. It's going to happen regardless. Less than a minute and a half to go. Ashland is basically vying for 50-50s through much of this. They have the leniency to kind of leap at anything that they really want. Silent Wolf trying to be even more involved because it's been kind of the Conspire show, if you will. And this is going to be a nice strike. High into the bar. Good save by Wubik.
Minnesota State collects, wants out, running out of time in this game. As G7 going to be to him. A little bit more time. You see, even when Wubik is looking to commit to try to cut off some space, then they slow play it. It's just the stop and go action from Ashland University. They know when Minnesota State is looking to challenge. When they're not, they're being able to read the play, react, but then do so in anticipation. They have been so good in every aspect of being able to recognize exactly where Minnesota State is, be able to work it around them, and they have the Mavs on the ropes as it stands right now.
Looking for one more before we get to the funny numbers. Got a half minute. Nothing else is needed by Ashland, but mental game is just as tough as the mechanical game at times, and there we go. Punch your tickets. We're going to Brazil.
Sure enough. Man, it has been just a different team coming out. The Eagles have been unreal. G7 getting on the lob too. It's been a while since we've seen his game on the goal scoring column, or in the goal scoring column rather. So now Ashland University all but we'll call it match point here at this point in time in this best of 7. Certainly not an aspect. I know they've been one-sided, Monkey, but I didn't expect it kind of to be this level here, especially in 2 consecutive games, because otherwise it had been a lot of back and forth. But this time around, the Eagles are looking to ride it in. Minnesota State, well, they weren't able to get a win here, but now they get to play with their backs against the wall with one last opportunity to try to keep this championship alive. Until then, Ashland University with 2 chances to close out the series.
The problem and the solution are in the same framework there, Bear. First off, there has been 2 shots made by Minnesota State in 2 games.
Yep.
So there's that. It was 11-1. Now it's 13-1 in terms of total offensive output. 1,032 points, by the way, from out of Conspire. So the problem, obviously, is they've not been able to visit the other side of the pitch in a long time. In that capacity, that game was checked out by about the halfway mark, 4 or 5-0 at that point in time. So the one thing, if you are Ashland Eagles, get the job done. They're on match point, championship point. Crown is around the corner, and a 7-1 can lull you into a false sense of security. But do we trust in Conspire to simply ignore that and keep everyone moving along?
I think this game is going to be close. I really don't see a blowout, but I really Like, there's no, I don't think there's gonna be an opportunity for like, Ashland to just keep on riding that same high. Like, they've been doing the right things, but you absolutely, if you're the Mavericks right now, it is a moment of waking up currently. Like, you should be jolted awake at this point in time, and it all starts with challenging what the first man is doing. You got to have a better midfield presence. It doesn't matter if they were solo playing, which Conspire we saw from that, for example. Cutting off that space immediately needs to happen, because not only are you able to cut off those solo plays, but everything that develops from them, the passing that they develop, they need to get off to a hot start, and who better than Wubik to get them started?
King Khan wastes no time, up, down, and around, slapping that one to his homie Wubik, and does not allow it to go over into the hands of Ashland. I was going to say, maybe some key components, covet each of the possessions that you are, if you are Minnesota State, because you have so few. But also, if you can quick strike, do it again.
Absolutely. And continue to do it. Don't let your foot off the gas pedal. Just continue to pressure. You got nothing to lose here at this point in time. And as long as you don't get too crazy with it, too out of position, you should find some opportunities. It's better than playing the entire game in your own end.
Had all of a couple shots. First one, well, now 3 shots, has been able to get them at least some pay dirt. Efficiency has got to be in the name of the game, but also don't let Ashland see this ball for free. They send 2. It's going to be Flo, who has been very defensively minded and has taken over several moments for Minnesota State to at least keep Ashland out and try to rock and roll that one. And I've seen a couple of skin changes and a couple card changes between these squads. Maybe they're just trying to kind of reinvent themselves in the moment, feel comfortable again.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Demo play. The Mavs have some life, a spark here in Game 6. Much needed first goal, but make it 2. They double up.
They chase down Conspire. They feed it from the perimeter, and G7 was like, hey, where'd my mans go? Well, he exploded. Minnesota State finds a couple. This is why I was saying a 7-1 is all well and good, but it can mess with you. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence has gone to the Eagles.
Yep. Wibik's also reading the play extremely well, too. We saw that in that turn in denial of Conspire just now. Now redirected in. Trying to find a passing play to G7. It was not to be. And Flo goes back wall with an opportunity of their own, but leaves it here for King Khan. Slow play and flick over one. Off back wall. They fight it off. It goes off the post.
Fourth man rings the failure gong as the old perimeter of the net ends up claiming yet another victim. First couple of minutes about to elapse. It's going to be G7 taking away boost from Wubik. He's got plenty in the tank. He just wanted to kind of equalize the field. This is Flo, backboard, no touch. That's going to roll. That's going to be saved by Silent Wolf. Hold that thought. It's coming right back to him. G7's got to pick up where they left off and Conspire now as a man down as he continues to just chase after these possessions. And we're not seeing a good rotation out of Ashland as it's just nonstop chase after reaction.
And it's because the Mavs haven't done this the last couple of games. They haven't been up close and personal. Their rotations on offense were lackluster. They did not have a second man prepared and ready to go to react. Look at these one chances after another. Again, now a teammate's going to save that one and kind of kill my point to some degree. I was going to say, like, it's good to see them, but flip reset. Oh, what a shot, but it's dug out. Conspire makes a huge save, and the back and forth continues as Ashland now kind of basically playing into their desperation with a big goal line save.
Conspire collecting squishy saves like I collect bad habits. This continues to be Conspire that leads this team with variable play. This one from out and around. Conspire with a hot shot. It's forcing Flo to come through. They kill the third man. G7 can't quite get back down to Flo, who continues to be a great workhorse in favor of the Mavericks. Silent Wolf will refuel. Conspire hoping to set up yet another one. No touch. They have to respect it. You have 2 men down in the middle of the pitch. Can't quite get the reversal. Wubik will have a look at it, but the defense responds back. They have got less than 100 seconds.
Wubik going to try to play it away from Conspire, but really just advancing instead is G7 with a demo out in front. Ashland able to cut the lead in half here with a minute 32 remaining.
If you can't get it by working the ball, he's got to get it by simply getting a demo. That one goes to a very timely rotation from G7. Right place, right moment. Conspire kills the third man. We cut this lead down to half. Remember, it is match point, championship point for the Eagles. Minnesota State trying to force 7.
Yeah, I don't think Inspire on that last play really was going for the bump play at first. It was a great adjustment. So Ashland has turned it around since the first half. But Minnesota State has looked a lot better in this game and need to be able to keep themselves alive. And not yet feeling like a red flag after giving away 1. But certainly if they give away a second, you're feeling a little bit nervous. We'll see how they combat it. But that's not a good pass. It's a giveaway. Wubik ready for it, though, at midfield. Midfield presence can be shut down by Conspire, but Flo waits for it in a great 50-50 to play it right back in, and Conspire low on boost, but he got the 100 pad as it spawned. And now able to cycle it around. Yeah, it looked loose there for a second. It's still in a dangerous position, and they're still not out yet. Finally, Conspire with a couple of big 50-50s to clear the zone.
If I'm Ashland, I need to separate. I need to make some of these rotations a little bit wider and longer because they were starting to close in. One man gets beat, and it's free grass. Minnesota State trying to stay disciplined, running out of boost. King Khan has the majority of it right now as everyone else is on zeros. Their back corner will replenish. Ashland wants to end the job now. Great challenge by G7. Sidewall. No one's able to get the shot. Conspire will back up. He's looking for his own corner to go on the respawn as this one's kicked high. 15 seconds to go, Bear. Do we see game 7? Demos abound.
It's going to be close. I'll tell you that because Ashland had it. But now they're going to have to go to the length of the pitch in less than 5 seconds now as it hits the ground. And now punched right back in. They'll have to go even further. Conspire off the ceiling. G7's there, but it's killed down. Minnesota State will stay alive. We go to Game 7 of the Div 4 Championships here in Nationals of NECC.
If you guys wanted a heart attack, well, this one is fresh and hot and ready for you because you're going to be feeling the palpitations as you go into game number 7. We finally get ourselves a close match. The first few were within range of that. The last few before this was looking like Ashland University was going to run away with it and continue to end out a perfect season. They've been 13-0 through the spring. 7 from regular, 3 from the playoffs, and then 3 from the Natty. They've just got to be able to put the old 4th one in, and then they've got the crown. But game 7, Minnesota State has gone nowhere. And the Mavericks have adapted. It just depends on which version of this game we're about to get.
No, there's no way to predict it at all. I'll tell you what, though. Minnesota State, it helps when you increase your shots in that game alone from the previous 2 by 800%. That's certainly going to do it. 8 shots in that one versus the 2 of the last one. Like, it's crazy to me how they're able to turn that around. So we don't know what version we're going to get, but I'll tell you what, Minnesota State's not going to change a thing. You have to be able to play exactly how you did there. You have to be able to challenge. The midfield presence was a lot stronger, and their offense was clicking and rotating in exactly the way they need to give themselves a chance. Game number 7. Get up, get loud. Division 4 is decided right here and now.
Trying to show all the big bros out there that they can play too. Division 4 has given us quite the story and quite the show. Trying to shut down Conspire is Minnesota State. The Mavericks trying to play this one close to the vest. And Ashland University, they want to continue ramping this one up and get creative. G7 Conspire, he's going to go for the bump play. Silent Wolf just kind of goes between a couple of defenders, and you see all of the Eagles retreat just as King Kong collects. That'll be G7 to be able to knock him off.
And collect their own as Conspire. Been winning 50-50s like crazy out here. Certainly been hitting the gym in that way. Able to find the right angles as well. Flo, 1v1. Punched away. Right back to a teammate. Conspire found Silent Wolf, but it finds Minnesota State yet again. Conspire does a great job to track it down, however. And now we'll pull it to the chest here as G7 will punch it directly back out of the zone. But King Khan loses the handle. Opportunity for Silent Wolf to step up in their place here as the Eagles finds Conspire. 1-2. Back wall follow-up is good. Holy cow, that develops so quickly, and Ashland on top in game 7.
All the Eagles were perched right here on that back third. G7, the last man in. Just as everyone tackled the near side post, Minnesota State recognized they were vulnerable in that rotation. One reason they were so successful in that previous game is because of the confidence from King Khan! This man right here finds it from the crosshair. We go back to even again.
Exactly what Minnesota State needed. You can't have another game where it gets out of control, where Ashland starts to feel themselves in confidence, rolls to a whole new level. Silence them with the kickoff goal. Exactly what they were looking for.
It doesn't matter if the play was well established, if it was cool, if it was awesome. Sometimes you just have to get it from the old fundamental, and that's from the kickoff. It will punish you if you're not ready. Conspire knows that. Everyone knows that. 3:33 left on the clock. Game number 7, full tilt. The entirety of this has just been breakneck speed. Who's able to react, who's able to play just a little bit cleaner, and more of that physical play is coming out of Minnesota State.
Took 2 of the Mavs in their own net to save 1, but they were able to transition it well. Now it's Conspire right back down the pitch himself. Oh, King Kong got a little bit too far forward, was able to adjust in time. I said nobody saw that. Now we'll continue on. But it'll be beat to it here as G7 gets it off to a teammate before getting demoed off the pitch. It's Silent Wolf now as this one plays high into it, Conspires up and somehow adjusts to get extra touches to try to set up G7, but he finds a little bit of room and that's all you need.
Everyone from the Eagles starts to congregate these corners for so long. You see G7 get a no touch, Conspire just immediately going back for it, and the defender right there in the middle of the deck, he's got a chance at it. He doesn't think it's going to come in at that speed, but he is all of an iota in front of the goal line, and so when he goes for that defensive touch, it ends up scrambling backwards. G7 left with a freebie. Conspire, he's going to have to be the third man back.
Minnesota State was able to answer last time. They can't do it. Silent Wolf, top of the box, unchecked, unmarked, make it 3-1.
The loudest the woo, G7, and this man's howling just as he was rotating around. He's like, no, let's try it one more time. Back to you.
Wow, that was quick. How fast that developed in Ashland. Now giving Minnesota State a taste of their own medicine from last game. They're the ones owning the midfield line. It has been such an important aspect of this game so far, and still half a game to go, but it's going to get farther and farther away as the Eagles strike again by Conspire.
Minnesota State might be seeing this one just get completely out of control. Conspire with the same shot opportunity they had a little bit ago. This one, so much simpler. If you're Minnesota State, you cannot hang your head. You have half a game played. 5 goals obviously shared between these squads. It can be done. You just have to stay focused. The problem, it is tough to stay focused with the way that these Eagles continue to just come down upon them.
Look at that Breezy though, off the top shelf, almost able to finish that one too. King Khan wants to go far side post. We'll be finding it down. 2:10 lefts. Need goals and need them quickly. As Wibbeck left, having to just fall off of this one, but King Khan has a great look at this one, tries to fire at top shelf. Conspire finds it. Now they try to go back wall again, but Conspire shuts it down again. How big has he been in this series?
It is insane. He takes away the would-be shot, sticks himself to the back wall, and then immediately is the next man to get that defensive touch. It cannot be understated the MVP level that Conspire is playing at. Now, for all the lauding that we're doing, hold your applause for right now until this timer goes down to 0. Minnesota State, they've had some looks, but they've not been able to cook. They can't quite get that bump through. G7 hangs high as this one again finds itself in traffic. The old man in purple looking for a double tap. It will have it taken away by Flo.
And now it's a transition back down. G7 waits for it and waited too long. Can't be able to pause yourself, otherwise the other team will take over. And this time it's the Mavs trying to tap it using the back wall here. King Khan did a great job to position his car right in front of Conspire to be able to shield it and give them another shot at it. Here as Flo goes right to it, finds a teammate there, but shut down once again as the Eagles find themselves in a spot where they're under a minute left to go.
Journey back to Division 4 by Minnesota State. Couldn't quite hack it in the upper Division 3. Come back and they find themselves in a national title form.
Wow.
But it's the Eagles that are looking for perfection. They're so close to being able to hold it. They've got 40 seconds left, a 3-goal lead, everything in place. They've just got to keep them away.
That one banks down, nothing doing. Yet again, Mavs come empty when they go down the pitch. And every single possession they have that goes empty is one that leads towards the Eagles. They play it back down as G7 kills more time as it goes high. Time ticking down even lower. It feels more and more like we're going to take the victory lap. And sure enough, it was an incredible run here. 18-2 over the last 2 semesters. A 10-0 mark in the last semester alone. But when it comes to nationals, it's business as usual. The Eagles will be your champions of the NECC Nationals for Division 4 Rocket League.
Eagles fly high, soaring over the competition, and even when King Khan shows up with those 6 shots, it's just a little bit too late. Good looks, good work, and good complete season. They got 7-0 in the regular season, 3-2 that final in the playoffs, 3 straight just before tonight, and they find the magic 4th. So that's 14 series in a row, Bear.
Yep.
14. After coming up second in the fall in the Great Lakes division. And this squad is looking very solid. Conspire, that is a whole other level of player. Just insanity. And they've got Conspire for at least one more year if they stay with the program. They're a junior, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know you love to see that. And typically, you know, we see some freshmen that can be difference makers too. But like to have that level of excellence and be able to hopefully solidify it down for one more semester or 2 more semesters rather would be huge for them, because Conspire, we don't have an MVP award to give out like personally, but I mean, when we talk about like who should earn that one, I mean, Conspire was everywhere in all the best ways, defensively shutting things down, but like offensively too. It wasn't just their solo plays, but being able to find ways to set up teammates as well, where G7 and Silent Wolf were able to find some goals. But Conspire, that conspiracy theory is looking pretty real here now, Monkey Man, I'll tell you that.
Hey, you know what? When I wrote that down, I was like, this is funny, but also it seems true. Hey, you know what? The best conspiracy theories are the ones that end up being really based on facts. And the fact is, Conspire showed the heck up. Silent, as a senior, super fun to be able to have them as a parting gift, and they'll be able to do that for tonight's Natty for Division number 4. So good looks to them, and also some kudos over to Minnesota State, recognizing that they still have a lot of learning. They went from Division 4 to 3 and came back over into 4 to be able to try and make this run. They've had a lot of tough opponents, and I feel like there's a lot of love that's going to be found, not just for Wub, who will be a senior next year, but they got a couple freshmen. There's still so much growth for this roster going forward, but that'll be it for Division 4. But Division 2, we've got another matchup right in front of us, and this one has the potential of doing it twice. Can the Gamecocks from out of South Carolina be able to own the state over Winthrop University? It's a Palmetto State throwdown right after this short break. It's the NECC Nationals Forge Trials right after this.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
it cuts quite like a memory. Especially one that you're trying to forget. But I can't find the energy to rewind and reset. I know you don't wanna be used, but you use me too.
You'll still have common days. Get caught in traffic during your commute. Overthink a text message. Get a song stuck in your head. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time to get into it. It's the Division 2 Nationals here for NECC, the Forge Trials as presented by the Army National Guard. The Uncommon is calling at nationalguard.com. But what's calling to us right now is going into our last grand final of the night. I'm Hellmonger Man in the booth alongside Barrelite, and this will be the last time that we get to cast with NECC this semester before you have to ultimately go over to San Antonio. And this Division 2 matchup feels like it was written in the stars. You've seen this one a lot. In fact, I think we all have at this point.
You know what? I saw the chat behind between these two teams as we're organizing them. We get the pleasure of being able to kind of hang out with them. I've seen them so many times. And the one thing that I said, Monkey Man, was it could only be you two. It would only be you two. Sure, I got some respect for my alma mater in the Carolinas as well with UNC Charlotte, who is also in that division as well in the Nationals. But they fell short. And this is a matchup that we've seen in the championship of C3 for a very long time. So as a Carolina born and native currently, I'm so excited for this matchup today.
We're going to be finding ourselves into the hands of the University of South Carolina from out of Columbia, South Carolina, going against their in-state rival just 70 miles away at Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. SJT, Og, and Turnip on the side of the Gamecocks. And for the Eagles, it's Monster King Nakari, who you might find as Burger, and of course with Phantom. These two squads, just maybe a little over an hour away, depending on how fast you end up driving, have seen each other 7 times minimum across the academic year, from the fall to the spring, through C3, through NECC. I feel like they got to scrim against each other. There's so much talent in this pool.
And it's always so close every single time. It almost always goes to 7. Apparently not always. There was one occasion where it was 4-1 in favor of Winthrop. Yeah, Winthrop. And we said that USC is actually, the team that has won the better of this matchup, winning 5 times within their series specifically. So they certainly had the edge of late. And I think, coming in, it's Og's last final match with this team. Him and SJT have been together for an extremely long time. I'm excited to see those two click into action. But can they take on Winthrop, who have been hot as of late? We've seen a lot of them here on the NECC broadcast. We know what they're all about, how well they play defense, how well they can transition it down. These two teams are built for one another, and I'm excited to see them get on the pitch here tonight.
Let's go ahead and knock out some of those traits that make them so uncommon, even though that we see them commonly here between themselves in this rivalry. Let's see USC, South Carolina first, and see what they bring to the table for tonight. For this squad, for SJT, for Turnip, and for Og, South Carolina posts up a triplicate of Gamecocks that know how to fight. Rooster Fighter. In case you guys aren't aware, I'm a big anime head, and the main character of Rooster Fighter is a giant rooster, and he goes around killing monsters, demons, and more. Well, there's a Monster King and a Phantom that's across the way. They know how to be able to fight. They've done it well. They've been efficient. 6-1, 26-12 in the regular season, and then they've been able to be efficient the last couple of times, go 4-1 against the Niners and 4-1 against Winthrop recently in the winners finals. But Carolina Kings, for all that success, for all the good, they've really been doing it in their homeland. The Sandlapper skirmish, if you will, with the way they've been fighting along the beaches and in the shores. But for all of that and more, You don't get cocky. You do not find yourself in a position where you look at past success. If you do that, you're going to be caught unawares, especially by a Winthrop Eagles group that's prepared to soar with what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, it's just USC has always been pretty calm, cool, collected. You don't hear them get extremely loud when we hear them on land. But they are very much coordinated in that degree. That combination between SJT and OG will need to connect multiple times. But we saw them walking into the C3 championship this past semester, feeling themselves and pretty confident at the end of the day. And what happened to them that time? They fell short. And so that's why we say don't get cocky here if you're USC. Let's check out the uncommon traits now for Winthrop University as well as the Eagles come in. You know, they're a very prestigious bunch here when we talk about across the esports nation, right? They've been able to do a great job of establishing a whole lot of veteran depth here. And we don't just mean on this team, which actually applies as well, as we have a senior in Monster King, although he's new to the table here. You know, we do have T. Corral as part of this organization, Garrett G, in addition to that, who are able to really bring their expertise to the program themselves, especially when we talk about T. Corral, who's directly related to this team, has been able to coach this team as well. They have been clicking for that reason, and I really love this team for the way that they play with their bumps, demos, and boost steals. As I've said all season long, it will continue. They play the same. They play consistently for that exact reason because of that veteran depth. The Horror Show. Bring in Monster King. T-Neck no longer here. Unfortunately, the neck got broken, apparently. But we got Monster King instead. And the Monster joins the Phantom, and you have a nasty combination in a Horror Show of just, you know, if it gets nasty, it can get nasty in a hurry. Winthrop can put up goals in a hurry as well. And we talk about resilience. If you're going to win this series, that's not enough. You got to win it twice. These boys are extremely strong and have been resilient. We've seen it in the C3 championships. We've seen it all season long, and I expect to see an opportunity for them to be able to close out a series, at least one, and to bring us to a bracket reset if they're able to get it done.
And of course, these uncommon traits are brought to you by the Army National Guard. The uncommon is calling at nationalguard.com, but what truly is calling is the beginning of the end. The Rocket League regular season here on the online side of the NECC Nationals Forge Trials begins anew with game number 1. It's going to be Winthrop Garnet. They will be on the orange side. USC Gamecocks. They'll be hanging themselves on the blue end. First 15 seconds, and already USC is testing the waters.
Yeah, it was quick. We saw massive demos right off the rip, too, as Phantom will bailing out of the goal line. That's not going to be the first time we say that, or not the only time, rather. We'll be saying it plenty more throughout this series. Get scrappy early between it. Yes, that pun was intended, by the way, Mr. Monkey. I see your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In case some of you don't know, I'm an Arc Raiders fan. I'm sorry if that says something about me. I just like to play video games. But first minute, there's been a lot of USC leaning downfield. Turnip's going to try and make themselves very available as they take a swing shot to this one. Flip reset is gained. That's a nice shot. Tons of defense by Winthrop, but I mean, that's not what you want to be. Consistently finding themselves on the back pedal. SJT, ooh, can't quite get the most of that. Phantom left with a moment to at least get upfield.
Out of boost, though, not able to work it on them, and you see Og leaving it here for Turnip. He'll find SJT, and they go directly back out. Og will get the mid boost. They've been able to find the boost, and that's what's made it difficult for Winthrop and this Garnet team to be as comfortable as we like to see. But if there's any team that can get it done from their own goal line and still create chances, it is this team. As Nakari does come in rocking Nakari. Either he's on Epic or he changed his Steam item. Either way, we do get a true to his name situation here for the punt.
The reason that we comment to that is because I think you say they're usually burger. Is it just burger?
Burger, just burger, yeah.
Just burger, just a good old burger. Well, decided they don't want to be thinking about food. They're just going to come in open and honest as Nakari. And apparently they will also be taking their next semester, by the way, of this year. They're going to go and do some overseas studying over in Japan. So that's kind of cool as they try to be able to go be Mr. Worldwide. And so far, USC has not allowed the Eagles to get out of Rock Hill.
Woo. Og trying to work it in his last series here with the Gamecocks. Love to see him out here working and feeling comfortable. And has had generated a majority of the chances too. Lots of boosts in the tank, but this one will be met. Out the top of the box here as Phantom will play it back in, looking for Nakari, who's low on boost. He just tried to direct it back to center. It'll find Monster King regardless, and now Og right back up to collect, and right back out he goes. try and play a 50-50 turnip on it. Trying to stall them. Turnip slow plays it right to the middle. SJT will strike through, break the ice with 2:22 left in game one.
It's feeling like forever, but this felt almost inevitable. Turnip just playing it low and slow. They didn't have enough boost to really challenge forward or get a demo, so they just isolate the near side defender, see if they can be able to get something underneath their car. And that ended up working out as the second man was there to respond. Good looks out of the Gamecocks as they finally hit Pater.
Monster King goes out to try to get the bomb shot taken, fired. But SJT was ready for a quick reaction time. And now Turnip is looking at a wide open cage. Monster King able to fight it off on the way back, though. So even Winthrop got a little bit dangerous with it on the offensive side of the ball. They were able to recover.
Can't quite get that last connection when they wanted it, but ultimately still keeping pressure on to Winthrop. Turnip has been such a great player in addition to this roster after they replaced Katz from the previous academic year when Katz was playing along with both AUG and SJT, and so you know how dangerous they have been. Last 100 seconds here in game number one. Winthrop will have a few looks. This is going to bounce up and down, hit the old floor skis, SJT. Oh, that's going to be a nice step back by Monster King, but as soon as they had a handle on it, it's taken away.
And we'll look to settle into this. When we talk about Katz as well, I mean, you lose a great leader there because they were well-spoken, but Turnip has been just a great addition to this team anyways, where USC hasn't missed a beat. In fact, I think they may have upped it a little bit just with his pure skill alone and with the guidance of Katz in addition to that. So that's what you love to see, make those adjustments accordingly. And USC trying to ride this 1-0 lead, though, in the meantime here in game one. It's feeling pretty good with 54 seconds left, but we know both of these teams can score goals in bunches and no lead is saved.
Some really clever saves have been found by Winthrop. That's about the majority of what we've seen on this pitch. Game one, even at a 1-0, feels like it's been 1,000 at this point because USC has not left them well enough alone. Turnip will be sitting to that goal line. They ride this one sky high. They get it through a couple of would-be attackers from out of the Eagles. Less than a half a minute remaining in South Carolina. It's not done. They've been finding goals at a very high premium, but they're getting a lot of floor space to work with.
Look at Monster King find a good pass, and yet still it was tracked down by AUG. And now Phantom just wants to play it to the corner. Although it's a bit of a misstep there as Monster King was there and prepared. We'll see what they can do here under 10 seconds. Find new Monster King. They'll go high. They're forward. Opportunity here. Nobody on the back wall. The double. He's not able to find it, though. And Monster King now in the corner trying to just keep it alive by keeping it up. But Turnip finds it, and somehow Nakari dives at it and gives Winthrop one more chance down the field. Monster King set up. He'll find Nakari off the corner. Shot taken. It's actually a pass. Now they're going to try to direct it on target. It's still there, but it hits the ground. And USC gets away with game one with their lives.
I've never seen a team be able to go down the one way to the pitch that they need to be, all the way back, and then all the way forward without it being called by a man like Shogun. That one was all over the place. It felt like they were two clear-cut shots away from maybe truly threatening that net, but the ball dies where it started, and that's just in the defensive box. USC, they got 7 shots, so I think it was the 4 collectively from out of Winthrop. And I know that's not like a huge differential, but the majority of that happened late. USC was definitely in the back half of Winthrop, and I felt like the Eagles, everything about this game have started slow. They were pressured downfield, and wow, like, you know, 1-0. I'm not surprised. It's a higher division. These goals come at a very high cost.
I feel like that's like, you know, Winthrop plays like that. They play like a boxer, where it's like, hey, punch me in the face first, you know, and I'll take it, you know, and then I'm gonna show you just to get in your head, and then we'll strike there. Like, they want a bar to be able to raise that's already been set, and USC set it early, and Winthrop at that point in time was looking to get it back. They fell short in that game number 1, but yes, they came alive at the tail end of it.
And like a boxer like Mickey Wark, just trying to be able to just close in, just put their arms around themselves and just see if they can have a war of attrition. You're gonna be doing that. You're gonna have a very broken beak bruise here for the Eagles. This battle of the birds, it's a difference of sky and air. Who's able to take advantage of the mid-ground between the two? First minute, looking a little bit different than it did in game number 1, as we've seen a lot more blue grass, but here we are, trying to be able to challenge out Winthrop again.
Monster King's got space. Goes back wall. That one's off the crossbar there. And you might have been scared, but USC said, no, we weren't scared. Able to somehow dig it out. Is a little bit too close for comfort up here in the booth. But SJT will punch it off that side wall. You've got NECC up for this one, too. Looking for back wall. Og simply playing it back down to turn him. But turned in yet again here by Winthrop and this team who's had a majority of the offensive pressure this time around. They had enough of playing on their defensive line. They played for the first 3 minutes of game one. They said enough's enough.
Winthrop has denied USC space, but I've not seen really much of a threat in terms of offensive targeting. It seems like a lot of, all right, challenge out, send this as a clear, force this into at least the back third, and then see if they can be able to work off of some kind of 50-50 gamble. Looking to at least dive at the third man. Monster King hoping for a double, can't navigate to the outside portion of that ball. Another demo will reset the rotation from out of Winthrop. Ooh, swing and a miss. But nice shot. Turnip nearly got that anyway.
That's crazy. And Phantom came across just in time. In a very timely save. And once again, just diving across. I feel like he is a bit of a tease on the goal line. Like he'll look wide open and then he just likes to dive across and save it. And listen, if it fits your flow and gets the job done, your team's definitely not complaining at least.
One of those where you're like, all right, are you doing this just to see if you can bait another attacker? Maybe create some extra time. I like that one. Trying to be able to jump it off. You do have Turnip at solo 1v2. That's going to go backboard. Double touch coming. Big save. Turnip doing it again.
That was huge. Quickly played there from Winthrop, so credit to Turnip for being able to track that one. That was in a hurry. The way it developed in NECC now. Played off the corner. Turnip right back in. Box is defended with off the backside of the Gamecocks. I don't know how SJT kept that one out, but still another shot off the crossbar. Winthrop just cannot find a goal as SJT now tries to find corner. A pre-flip opportunity there from Monster King in the box will be shut down as well, and Winthrop leave empty-handed once again.
Oh, this is a dangerous motion. SJT was already planted well onto the backboard. USC is starting to seem a little bit weaker. Some of these moments being exposed. Another high hopper from that left side corner. This is the second time it's happened. Looking for the triple touch. They can't quite get the next flip reset. Oh, and his teammate, I think that was NECC. They go flying on by. Oh, just off timing. They didn't think their teammate would have 3 of those.
Exactly. Like they have him back to back to back as well. He's like, oh man, I don't know what to do with this. And try to read it. I think anybody who was lost as anybody would have been in that situation, I feel like.
70 seconds. I mean, Bear, this is a strange moment. Both teams, there's been very low scoring. This is what you get in these upper divisions. They get so much mechanics, and sometimes it's just about playing with that possession, what you get last. No boost. They have to respect that they're coming down from that defensive back wall. NECC is going to swing for the fences, and they're going to try and lock this one into a corner play.
Got good reads, and Phantom was there. Top of the box, giving Winthrop the 1-0 lead.
Og did not want that touch. You know Og is looking for kind of a boomer clear.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it went right back to the ceiling. And that went into a waiting hand. So Winthrop finally finding a mistake out of USC that they can jump on.
Well played. Waiting in the waters. But as we know, both these teams never done. Never out of the game. Turnip right back in. SJT wants to punch it off the corner. Has Og there waiting for him to dive in once he's done with it. Now it's a shot on Winthrop, and nobody back for this one. Wide open opportunity. NECC will capitalize on this one. And a 2-0 lead now for Winthrop.
Saw the third man about at the midfield line, and as soon as they were there, it was DOA. You had SJT trying to challenge out on an immediate turn instead of running up that lane, and that gave even more oomph to the would-be pass that went to the man upfield. So Winthrop, outplaying perfect, outplaying very close to the best here with the Gamecocks. Trying to own South Carolina if they can. They might be within distance to try and tie this up.
We talked about resilience and how that's an uncommon trait and one that they need to really be able to dig out. The last 2 C3 championships have gone to Game 7. They left empty-handed. So really, it's about having that strong mental fortitude. So they lose Game 1. And first checkbox in the resilience will be here as they do take the 2-0 victory here in Game number 2. will equalize this series where it stands right now, shutting out USC. And we know, Monkey Man, that's no easy task. And to keep them at 3 shots as well, that's even more impressive in my eyes.
Yeah, honestly, they didn't even get to look at much of anything. I mean, for all the praise that we give to a couple of cool saves, one going unblessed by the scoreboard, as it were, you get to see what's now at least clearly slowing the game down and taking away offensive chances from out of USC. This is a team that went very deep into a couple of the opens to try and go to CRL late last semester. So they've had some good success. For Winthrop, they've done the same thing as the big brother squads to try and catch up to the same level. But I mean, this one narrowed down to just the onesies and twosies. So we go to a BO5. Everything is going to a much more methodical bit of play. And if you're the Gamecocks, you don't want to have to rely on some of the squirreliness that Turnip is trying to turn up with going into these defensive efforts.
USC kicking in the action. Feels like it's been a minute since we saw them be there, but Demo certainly will do that. As Og, the senior, gets his first one of the series here. I can't believe I'm saying that 1-0 lead here for USC Gamecocks.
It's been a very low-scoring affair. Yeah, we got a couple late term in that previous game, but that took forever. I feel like this one's going to be a breakout situation. People are going to be taking more risks, a lot more rotation, and a lot more just diving, seeing if you can open up some gaps, seeing what percentages of these can be found. Nice defensive effort by Turnip. Already going for a bump and dump, but it's going to be Phantom that at least sends it to the side.
I've always had the theory and love the theory that if a team's going to be demo heavy, physical, then answer back kind of with that same style, not to play into their own style, but to give them a taste of their own medicine, really start to show them that you can play that same way as well and that you're not to be bullied. But that's going to be a difficult one to dig out. Phantom lets that one drop, make it 1-1.
Og had nothing that they could bring to the table with this. That was a clear miss from out of USC. I think that was Turnip that went flying by. And as soon as they had jumped on top of it, I believe that they had SJT just around to their side. Og's like, dude, I have like 10. I can't go for this ball. And it's already way too high. So good response from out of the Eagles. This one's already right back to evens after we've seen no responses from both these teams inside of the same game in the first 2.
Exactly. Been kind of the way we saw the first series play out of the broadcast. Where one team would own it, then back the other way. Obviously, this one been way more defensive-minded. As Phantom and Og meet at midfield. Phantom will take the boost on the way out. Now trying to find one another. Double demo this time in the favor of the Eagles as Winthrop will go right back to work. Monster King all the way up to the ceiling. So is Turnip to challenge it. And they met once again. Lots of stalling at the midfield. Both teams want to keep that ground. They don't want to give it up. The second you give up the mid ground and give any kind of space, you really play into the other hands, especially with these two teams, how dynamic and quickly they play.
A lot of smart play recently by the Gamecocks when having to deal with a deficit of resources. You've seen a lot more of Winthrop stealing their back corners, and look how they're having to respond to it. They have to go and basically ride up the wall to save themselves on that boost that otherwise they'd have to use to be able to get up there. But Nakari comes streaking on by. This is when you have more of that leniency of what's in the tank. Monster King drops it after a second effort against SJT, and Turnip just can't find the gap.
That was all about how fast Nakari got up for it, because it was a smart play by Monster King to play into that and cause the 50-50 and just get it to pop up, especially when nobody was guarding the box from the Gamecocks. But the way he basically pre-jumped and straight forward versus going in an upward fashion basically read that one. Great anticipation, great finish from Winthrop, and having the lead here in this game number 3.
It's a couple games in a row, or a couple goals in a row, rather. Gamecocks have had one on the past couple of games. SJT is going to make this one real honest. Oh my goodness. I thought that one would be touched for sure. And they thought it as well, because they were setting up their teammate to maybe cut that one from the right side. And instead, that hits just free bar. So, don't know if that was by design. Winthrop lets one go and gets away with one all the same. One boost is Phantom. He's got 2 teammates that are not. And that's going to be a nice cut up field by Nakari as the Gamecocks continue to surround this midfield. But Eagles, they're getting pieces of this, and USC just can't keep a clean possession.
Finally able to get something on the back wall, right? It's just they've been denied entry to begin with into the zone, and finally when they do, it wasn't even that threatening, and Winthrop was able to catch it. Now they play back out. So we'll find SJT. We'll look to set up Turnip on the way forward. And by the time he's catching it, Winthrop was already on it themselves. It'll be SJT to try to dive at it. The Monster King up and pressuring as SJT gets that demo, a huge one, and that allows USC out the 1-2-3, but just a little bit too hot to handle.
Very ambitious. I like the idea behind it, and it's something that's going to happen a whole lot more. Og is late to the party, and this one threatening to go over the hand of, or over the head rather, of SJT. Less than a minute to go. A lot of neutral time being burned between these two. Monster King with a floor pinch. They get one man to bite, and then they finish the effort themselves.
Yeah, just waiting. Then brings it back down, and that's the only place where there was nobody to be. And if Og was there, it would have been 3 members of USC in a very tight space, and yet that's exactly where you need to be whenever you see Monster King doing that. Either way, even if he doesn't score, there was going to be support on the back end. So Monster King playing a little bit of game theory there in a positive fashion, limiting any kind of opportunity there from USC to try and save that one away.
35 seconds. Still within reach and reason, but not with the way the Eagles have been systematically shutting down so many of these pushes upfield. That's a double commit between Monster King and company. Still, though, as long as they win just enough time and effort and don't allow the Gamecocks to be able to get up the pitch, then it doesn't really matter. Nice takeaway. Monster King is absolutely activated. This game, so fortuitous for the side of the Eagles as we got 10 seconds to go.
And they finally got Winthrop the bite. So now would be a prime opportunity, especially when you need it, but Monster King's able to jump in top of the box and kill it down. So Winthrop Garnet will get their second one on the board, take the lead in this series after dropping the first, so 2 in a row. And USC has not been finding a lot of offense. They were shut out last game, just a goal in this one as well. I know it's defensive-minded as a series as a whole, but Winthrop find 3 off of 9 shots. Everybody getting involved, everybody in the goal column.
Everyone in there. 3 shots each. Nice couple of assists to be able to help that one out as their 100% participation is Monster King, and that's a player that we are looking at to not just be present and accounted for, but also a threat maker and dealer out there. But Bear, when you're looking at the squad from Winthrop, they obviously know that they need a bracket reset. You're fine. You've got to be able to continue to grind this out. You need to be able to win 2 series. If you're the Gamecocks, what kind of coaching is happening? Knowing that you had the leniency of a bracket reset, but you and I know all about momentum when it comes to this kind of game. It feels like that one, and since game number 1, which was so visceral, they've been really limited. I mean, what is it? 1 or 2 goals in the past 3 games?
Yeah, that's exactly right, and things can swing in a hurry, though. And you have to just kind of play for one another, right? Play for Og. Find a reason, especially in a series that's always extremely close, and you know it's going to go back and forth, and you already have the advantage anyways. Give your heart and soul to something, right? Make it your team's mission to be able to give Og that final prominent and awesome goodbye of being able to hold the NECC National Championship. Play for that at the end of the day. You have to have that little bit of reason, that momentum, emotion behind it, especially against this Winthrop team. And the first one fired on by Og, but it's going to be denied here by Winthrop. And now wide open cage if they can get there. Nakari going to try to tap it down. It does. Perfectly. Winthrop up 1-0.
Tough situation there. I think that they ended up helping that one out just a tad, but SJT knew they couldn't make that touch. It was well fed over to an Eagle attacker. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, was it a 2-0 or 2-1 in game 2? 2-1? 2-0?
2-0 in game 2.
2-0 in game 2. Okay, I didn't know if there was 1. Okay. Regardless, it's been consistent. Feels like we're asking for a pause. Okay, so we're chilling like villains as we take that one for what it is. It's currently a 2-1 in the series. So we're in game number 4.
Yep.
Chilling. So let's talk more to it. Let's talk about resiliency. That has to exist on both sides of the pitch, both sides of the old Ethernet cord, as it were. And it feels like with the call to at least this pause, maybe something is going wrong, but for South Carolina, severely opposite of what they are trying to come in with. A lot of offense, see if they can be able to pressure out Winthrop, force some of those mistakes. But the veteranship of this program, you and I have seen it firsthand of how much they roll deep, and the investment that they really give into their players is really keeping USC from doing much of anything.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I talk about it all the time, the OG and SJT combination. We want to be able to see it for the last game that they'll be able to play together, at least in the collegiate circuit, at USC, as USC. And it's denied consistently because I think they're looking for it maybe even a tad too early, in my opinion. It's those little things that you need to be able to kind of think about, right? Maybe you start as solo play and then be able to try to find that pass a little bit later on, even from the back wall. In some instances have worked extremely well in this series, in series past. So that's maybe what I'm looking for, find timely passes versus just trying to label it for the first time around, or trying to go in Rocket League 2, especially when you're going to be low on boost. You know Winthrop's after that boost as well. Winning the boost race is always a point of emphasis. I think they've lost it the last couple games, and it might be contributing as to why they weren't able to find basically anything at all. Midfield presence extremely strong. It needs to be, and I think Winthrop's winning that battle so far in basically the first 3 games. I'm actually surprised USC came out striking, able to get that first win on the board at all. So if you're USC, it's this pause, whether it's tech related or whatever, get you a new series, a new, lobby, whatever it might be. At least use this time to try to reorganize, get back to it, see if you can't take another one and be even grounds after game 4.
Looks like there was a need for just kind of getting someone's connection back online. So we keep where we were. Shout out to everyone now having admin privileges to be able to get at least a pause going. Thank you. It only took 10 years. Oh, awkward trampoline. Try and turn this one out. Phantom is going to be haunted a little bit by a would-be attacker. That one goes off the low foot of the cage. SJT is in a bump fest. I think that one by Nakari. As they just boot scoop boogied them away from the midfield boost. We press on like nothing changed.
SJT is skybound. Read and denied, and right back out by Nakari. That one off the quarter, too. Threatening spot. As now Monster King finds Nakari, and he'll pop it up on the way out. Looking to set up a teammate, maybe Phantom there as the third man back, but he is too far back, so nothing to do it. But Nakari right back at the play. Didn't even take a second off, but now you see Turnip find Og, and right back out they go. He's got SJT. Again, this is that slow play. He's looking to get him in the right moment, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. But this time, denied yet again by Winthrop.
Feels like they have a one-touch offense right now. Solid option to try and work that one. Oh, what a chance. As they get a demo, they get a pass, they get another man attacking from the back corner. That's the backdoor bandit right there. Gamecocks got to feel a little lucky that they got away, as they did layer it deep on the defensive side, trying to be able to get another demo and thin out the would-be counterplay. Monster King goes down. Og with a chance. Well read by Phantom.
Yeah, he was all over that one too. Shot back in though. Og is there, stays in the play and taps it down, and USC has drawn even.
Basically nothing in the tank. Nice turnabout there from Turnip. And Og making sure that they can at least defend that ball going away from the post to be able to turn themselves into a backboard. So good ricochet by the Gamecocks to get back into this.
Well timed as well. Definitely well needed. They have been empty on a lot of their offensive presence in the last couple of games. And back on track, they would say, as Monster King now wants to do the same here for Winthrop. Last thing you want to do is give momentum and have it swing in such a fashion where the USC can get right back and rolling the way they know that they can. But Og is going to make it difficult here as he finds Turnip. Try to stay on that play too. Used a lot of boost to do it, so he's going to have some trouble on the way back. USC need to be surgical here and keep it in the offensive zone for now. And that's why.
Yeah, Surgeon loses their tools in the old corpse as Phantom sends this one down mid lane. Oh, Turnip had a lot of thought that Og was going to be able to catch up to that, but it had far more speed. That is such a tough position, too, because you're like, all right, I need to just be able to turn my car, and I have someone who's rotating. And there wasn't even a bump. It doesn't matter. We go 2-2s regardless of where it happened just a moment ago.
Yeah, forget about the surgical horror show of sorts Winthrop was able to put on. Staying true to their uncommon traits, yes, sir. But they answered back, and that's what matters. There you go. Right off the kickoff as well. USC find a quick answer. 2-2 now the score line with 1:39 left. Nakari's actually going to find SJT. He takes or that was Og rather, as he chomped at it. I was looking for a shot. Turn it right back in here as well for USC. Winthrop making some a little bit iffy choices here that USC's been able to take advantage of. I feel like they're actually thankful that they're at this 2-2 mark, even though it was USC that had to respond.
This is the first time in any of the games we've had through 4 where both teams have scored multiple goals and not just one. For Winthrop, some of these possessions have been coming a little bit at the behest and the rest of the touches from the Gamecocks. Not been able to really define their own offense. Kari's going to be first up to this corner. Just doesn't feel sure-handed. He'll be able to at least take a more valuable touch there. Og is going to lay it up. SJT literally coming from space. This goes backboard. Og is in his back line. They may have to retreat. Oh, Nakari left with a freebie. Big save by SJT.
Huge, but he used a lot of boost again. So Phantom now will try to get it across. Does find one. It's a tap down. Nakari tries to threaten the back wall, but it is held down ultimately by the USC defense. Monster King still punching it in corner. Looking for it. The back pass will be the obvious option here as they run out of boost. Phantom picks some up. Has some room to work with too. Does not get the flick off in the way he wanted it though. Otherwise that could have been threatening. Still on it though. Monster King the bouncer. Gonna be fought away by Turnip. Still under 10 seconds left. Here's Phantom with a couple of extra touches. Og needs to be able to track it and does, but not much of a clear here as Monster King turns on it. 3 members of USC on the back wall. Will it be enough to defend away Winthrop? They still want after it, but SJT will kill it, and we have overtime in game number 4.
You know, I kind of forgot that overtime was a mechanic in this game. we didn't see it all of Division 4. We got our first one of the night. Turnip trying to keep this one collectively to the outside wall. SJT and company better watch out, because this one starts to be turned in here for the Eagles. Nice floor pinch. Good shot. Better save by Phantom.
That was a bullet. Ripped that one, and still, and was able to track it. That's just how strong of a defender Phantom can be. This one now right back up. Og going backwards with it, just trying to find SJT at this point in time. Say, give me some relief here. Not exactly what he was looking for. As the tap down, though, will go to the corner, thankfully for USC, but still not in a place where they can breathe quite yet. Nakari wants to find it, sets up Monster King. Og at midfield to punch it away from him. As Phantom now has a shot of his own, but SJT will settle it down in overtime. Just about a minute played. And both teams finding their good share of chances. Here's Turnip on the far side, but shut down again.
One lane of offense. That one sends a backflip, and Og takes a backline shot. This one coming out from Nakari. He makes one, settles it to the floor, and Og just rips it home. And unfortunately for Phantom, they were just not ready for the pace behind it.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting the lost handle on it from Nakari, because it doesn't happen very often. But Nakari a little bit shaky there in a couple of the last opportunities that they did have and that we saw. But you don't need 8, like, if you have 8 saves, good for you. Also, holy cow, you are standing on your head right now, trying to just make sure your team has a chance.
8 saves out of the 10 from Winthrop. 8 saves. I mean, that's a solid stat line, and you're able to find so much of the outpouring. I think it was it like 13 shots, I want to say, somewhere in that capacity from out of USC. Very necessary, considering that they have not been seeing the other side of the pitch for the previous game and in the interim to the beginning of this one. And it was starting to feel like more of the same. We were not in a great position if you're the Gamecocks. Well, through 4 games, you go right back into dead even Stevens. So, for USC, South Carolina is coming from the winner's side of the bracket. They just got to win 2 games and we're good to go. For Winthrop, they're trying to force this one to go on its head and burn that second life.
You might have semi-forgot that overtime was a thing, Monkey Man, but it felt inevitable with these 2 teams, man. Like, they always end up in overtime at least once in a series, probably 3 times. And right now, the first off the board winner, game winner courtesy of USC and the Gamecocks. It's Og now, who had that game winner right on cue, now has some boost to his name. We'll try to direct that one on target, but Phantom stood fast on his own back wall, able to shut it down. We'll settle it back here for Necari with a couple of touches to propel this one forward. Pinch it in. And SJT left with his hands full, trying to be able to get that touch as he was bumped off it himself. Monster King looks to play into the box and demoed off it here as Necari looks to try and swing in to try to get that touch where the USC Gamecocks defense. SJT not able to handle it here either, and midfield is where we stay, at least for the time being.
Rough timing there for Monster King. They were hoping to kind of wiggle their way just a little bit extra up until that midline boost was going to come up, and they end up ahead of it. Lots of demos. This is going to be a double tap chance if Turnip doesn't get to it. They do, however. SJT with a feed over to Og. That's going back to Turnip. They're siding him. Good defense. I think that was Phantom that just got around to the outside of Turnip. Another big demo. Fielded well. Both sides through literally 100 seconds that have just blitzed on by, I might add. I feel like they've both found ways to take away that more lethal opportunity.
Yeah, because it's scary. Looking at USC and seeing the A to B passing, that's so quick, A to B, B to C. Whenever you see that get cooking and it becomes faster and faster, they get that groove and they can get that rhythm of passing to that high degree. It's very scary to go up against. I don't care what defense you have. I don't care if you're Phantom coming off an 8-save performance. Nobody's saving those shots that they're able to generate. So Winthrop needs to be able to track that and deny those before they get going.
I guess that kind of passing, you could almost call it transitive passing.
That's
A,
right.
B, B, C, A, B. SJT wants to slow it down. That's a nice handoff. That's a double commit. Last man will stay static. Phantom, defensive powerhouse in the previous game. Doesn't want to have to be known for only getting those 8 saves. They did have that 1 goal to go with it as well. Monster King wants to carry this one forward. They're sweeping the line, but they don't have a striker to lean onto it. This time they do. Phantom goes into traffic, be able to navigate. We're well over the midway mark. This is a good challenge, and USC is biding their time. They know they can eventually bend this one from the perimeter.
Somehow able to bail themselves out because they were tripping over each other, but found the demo and enough space to at least work it to midfield. Necari backwards though. Gets that extra touch, but again, it's loose. And now the passing play, turn up there and ready for it. Again, capitalizing off a mistake from the defense of Winthrop.
Necari had fielded it well, but Og recognizing that he's got Phantom and Monster King streaking towards him. So why not feed it to the man that cannot touch it? That means they've got basically one man to beat, and Phantom coming out from that goal line. And finally, we break the stalemate. Og over 1. Can Phantom jump up high enough? They do just enough to keep it still one up.
Phantom from back wall finds SJT. Tap down, turn up, no boost in the tank. Otherwise, would have been probably more threatening in that situation.
Ooh.
Necari meets SJT. You've met plenty of times this year, I'll tell you that. But Phantom will look to play it in. SJT denies. Right back out to Og. He's got some space, works it upwards. Got that extra flick as well, but Necari was able to track that one all the way.
Even if that wasn't a full flick, you got that outside fender on the car, and it makes such an awkward position to recognize that they are going to get that kind of touch. Turnip, knowing that they were in no man's land, turns right around just before that shot is forthcoming. They're looking for a demo. Look at Og. He's already hunting another guy down. As that one comes in, Turnip has to recognize the bounce until the 11th hour in the final second. Do they actually get that save as it goes bouncing in? The fake out. Og wants to be able to walk this one in and can't quite get there. Next shot might, but that's denied.
Yeah, Phantom's always there, right? And that 45 flick too, quite the velocity on it. Turnip better be ready it was to turn that one away. He'll go ceiling high now, even without boost. Be able to get it out to midfield, but it'll bounce high. SJT's on it. He's got boost in the take. Nobody following him either, but couldn't quite get the flip reset. Still had Og there to try and continue with it. Still Turnip here as well, but couldn't quite get the read off the corner, but SJT will keep it pinned here in the corner. This one will pop up high. Where's the follow-up, though? There's nobody there and available. And Necari tried to turn it out. Shot taken as well, just killing more time with each individual shot are the Gamecocks. Monster King now going to be handcuffed. We've seen Winthrop go the length of the pitch to try one last time, but can they find another solution this time around as well?
On to the tip of the nose. He's got 2 in concert. That ends up off of a Gamecock player. Og knows he just wants to put this one down. Nice demo. Necari, Monster King. There's no one at home! Oh my goodness! this? We're going OT again. What focus and poise out of the Eagles.
I'm so shocked. Also, can I just talk about how Phantom read the fake from Og? Og faked it, so that way he could have just open ground to hit the ground and go into overtime, and yet he read that fake, caught it, and still managed to go the length of the pitch from Winthrop. Unbelievable.
Beautiful play, trying to get the redirect immediately. Og looking over to SJT. Oh my goodness, they're gonna have another chance at it. Og is calling him off. Great shot, huge demo. 2 men are off the field. It's all up to Nakari to defend the house.
And he did a great job with it. Even though he's been slipping up a little bit here and there, still had the resilience to keep himself put. Now, far side opportunity, SJT denied as well. That one was close. And Akari looks for a way out, looking for Phantom, gets it, and right back out they go.
Gamecocks know that this game, for all intents and purposes, probably should have been done. Let one get by. Second man's coming in. You're gonna have Turnip defending the homestead that they've done so many times before. Pre-jumping as everyone from their team starts rotating in. SJT finds that back corner boost. Nice read to at least make this one neutral. Turnip trying to be able to get that wave dash. Boost is taken away. He's basically a dead brick from the ground. Seems to be able to get maybe a bump. SJT in an awkward spot. They're really just buying time. Now they're finding even more. If they got a striker, that's dead. Top 90.
Man, always so quick. SJT just gets around Monster King, and Og had just enough boost in the tank to be able to get him to his spot right there in the corner, be able to air roll to get enough velocity to beat the last member there, Winthrop. And now the Gamecocks just one game away from being NECC Nationals champions.
Winthrop is trying to take the longest road possible. The only way to do it, now they must go to game 7. And if they do it there, then they have to go through a bracket reset. For South Carolina, this state has immense talent within it. This both from the Columbia side and from the Rock Hill side, just south of the border of good old Bear Light over there, who's up in NC. There's a lot of fight that you've seen between these two teams. They don't leave each other well enough alone, and it feels like this one is inevitable to maybe go the distance. USC, gotta be wiping their brow, but they also gotta be steadfast and focused because game 6 is where this could all end.
Oh, that's right. And when it comes down to business and it's championship between these two teams, every single time it's gone to game 7. Every single time. Yes, Winthrop, they have to get to game 7, and then they have to win it and then win another series. And yet, still, I feel like there's a way that they're going to be able to accomplish that. It's just like we saw in the last moment in that game, where the 0 seconds could have just went to USC anyways, but they fought hard, tooth and nail, to try to get there. But what does that say about USC to be able to get that back? SJT is such if you've ever met the guy, man, he seems like he's this like shy guy. No, he's a very confident individual, especially when he gets in the chat. He likes to get into people's heads, and listen, that confidence is certainly showcasing itself here too. Him and Og have always had this chemistry, but his ability to be that individual that has the confidence rolling gets USC cooking on another level, but they'll have to get it done yet again. But Monster King is going to get Winthrop on the board first instead.
Monster King had, I think, this last touch. No, flip reset into a follow-up, and then they force it off of SJT. Talking about getting people's heads, I spent the entire last weekend with some Halo guys, and there's nothing about yelling over a monitor that's trying to really win the mental warfare. These guys may not be doing the exact same thing, but they can scream through their mechanics instead.
Scream all the way down I-77. That's what they need to do, apparently. They've done it plenty of times in person as well, but now USC, for the first time in a while, they'll have their hands forced as Winthrop has the lead. But they have the confidence knowing that they have just one game to try to close out on. Here's Turnip as he'll turn it to the corner. He's got SJT for it. Played past by Nakari, and that'll allow Phantom to get back to work here in the corner as they grind it out there before Og can finally get to it, and back out they go.
Clearance, SJT on the setup. There is not a lot of defenders, and Turnip can't get that read. Tough situation for him, because if they've been able to find that, you would have at least 2 open shots. Oh, good timing at minimum for the Gamecocks, because even though Winthrop is making that rotation. If the backdoor bandit there turns around from the corner, that might have been a threat as well. I'm seeing a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, and maybes right now because that's pretty much what's been left up for grabs between both these squads in 90 seconds.
Phantom will try to work out, and he's got SJT to stand in the way. Try to get around that one to direct it back in, but nothing doing there. It's a long shot as Phantom try to swing around, finds Og instead. It's Nakari. Up, and SJT will demo him off. This will allow Turnip to have some space, but he actually flipped past it. And Og has to make up for it there. Or get across and save the day, essentially. That one could have been left wide open if Og had not responded to it. SJT forcing Phantom from the top. Now Nakari try to find an outlet, but finds Og instead. He's got Turnip with him. That extra touch didn't seemed a bit redundant with everybody there, didn't it?
It did. Also, you see Nakari just streaking down the other side of the pitch, stealing USC's boost. Oh, freezies? No. SJT, in fact, grabs boost in stride. There was so much trust in the two-man rotation defensively from out of Winthrop. But Nakari was able to come in, disrupt from behind the striking line. Now Turnip over the tail of one. Can't get a boost, or rather a flip reset. Get behind that ball. SJT to Og. Nice strike. Ooh, hits the old iron. Double commit. They're not going to have a layered offensive, at least at the middle of it. They're going to have one that goes up and around. Monster King has to climb this ladder because it's coming down, and all of Winthrop is now looking in reverse towards their net.
Ooh, SJT had a diving member in Og. Turnip is right there too, but Monster King found a way to get another save. Now Og boostless. Yep, you're not going to save it. Phantom gets another one. Bend, but don't break. Send it the other way from Winthrop.
Like a rubber band, they just send it right back at him, and Phantom, sincere control. They saw that they could be able to win the foot race, and then as soon as they put it on their hood, they're aiming for the old flick. So, Game 7 is necessary for the Eagles to have themselves a day to try and force this night to go longer. USC so far is giving them ground.
And, you know, they haven't given him a whole bunch, but what they have given has been taken advantage of. Can't say I'm surprised. Look at Og pin it to his car here. On an air track that was incredibly clean, but wasn't able to find some space, and now Monster King leaves it for Phantom. They'll be swinging back for second in rotation, ready for the reaction. It's a pass out in the middle, but that one easily detected and denied by the Gamecocks. As Og finds Turnip, looking to direct it back towards SJT, or at least forward, but Phantom stood in the way, jumps into the passing lane, and continues to work here in the corner. And it's really been Winthrop Garnet right now that's been just grinding it out, being in the corners, and then being able to work it back the other way. They seem to be extremely confident whenever they play defense. And now with a minute left, though, Og almost had that opportunity, but right back out we go.
Nice cycle around for the backboard. That was a great feed from that upper corner, but unfortunately, every time they've now been making better passes, they've not been able to thin out the would-be defense. And in stride, that's been found a lot by the Eagles. Trying to get over the top of one. Oggs has one man to beat. Two men go for the demo, and last man is trying to strike. That means that you've got a very hyper-scaled requirement for someone to come in from the opposite side corner. For USC, I feel like catching up where they've found these shots and goals to be at such a high cost might not be picked up here in Game 6.
Yeah, it's not surprising me at all. We've seen it so many times between these two teams, and we will likely see it again. Write it down, mark it down. We go again. Winthrop resilience is on the table. We go to Game 7 here in the grand finals of the NECC Nationals for Division 2 as Winthrop Garnet able to find a 2-0 victory in Game 6.
You can barely find the key difference here except for where it matters the most, and that's in the goal scoring column. A lot of nice shots, some definite defense. Problem is that the offensive opportunities were through very narrow cracks, trying to fit the old camel through the eye of the needle situation there for the Gamecocks. Game number 7. USC can be able to walk away with this one, take a championship. Div 2 title is theirs. For Winthrop, they can send us to a whole nother set. That means we're going to be burning some extra oil. Well, if you're still using that. LEDs will be bright on the old eyes. For this one, that resilience has got to come through. USC, I would say that they've got to have the same thing because having to go to a whole another series, that's their leniency point. But I feel like they don't want to have to go that far.
I agree with you. USC's got to have that same resilience as Winthrop, but I don't think it's as much as Winthrop needs it, and here's why. Because Winthrop has been in Game 7 and championships all around this town, man. C3, multiple occasions where they lost that Game 7 and go home with heartbreak. So how do you push that aside, and how do you fight through to get this not only once, but win a Game 7 and go back to work yet again? It all starts here and now at this Game 7. USC Gamecocks a chance to close out and call themselves champions, and for Winthrop, try to deny that heartbreak that they felt so many times.
If we go to bracket reset, I blame 3 entities. 1, I blame Winthrop. 2, I blame T-Man. 3, I blame Ramen Dragon. Those 3 would have gotten us the distance to go to a bracket reset, rather. But Game 7 is alive and online. Both these teams are as well. The battle for South Carolina, the old Sands Lapper skirmish, the Palmetto State throwdown, whatever you want to call it. The state is up for grabs. First minute of play. No one's been able to hit pay dirt yet.
Yet Monster King wants to be that individual. Cook it up. Had a solo play last game. It was very eerily familiar, but was denied and turned up right back to it. Gets that touch, but it was well away from where a teammate would be. I think you might have been eyeballing an empty corner, but there was a teammate there too that he could have looked for. But now this one off the back wall. SJT hits once. Turnip has to stay put. Wisely does so as the third man back, and that's where you see this midfield presence continue here for USC.
Trying to be able to rotate in from the wall. They've got to feed up to Monster King. That is a fantastic touch. A strike coming in. Double touch. Next man. That's going to be Phantom. Haunting the back line through the first 80.
Great time to strike in here as Monster King set up Nikari, and Nikari knew that you just had to get it past Turnip to give Winthrop a wide open opportunity, and Phantom not going to miss. 1-0 for Winthrop Garnet here in this Game 7.
Bump on the Nikari. Og's just going to take an honest shot. Trying not to, actually, just not taking any big fakes. Not really trying to over-invent themselves here late term. The playbook feels like it hasn't found a creativity portion. It's just trying to mechanically accomplish what they can. And I understand that too. Winthrop is that kind of squad. You don't really want to go away from fundamentals. Oh, but they do have to find some of these angles. Old Protractor is getting a bit rusty as they want to find something from outside term. They've got a man they have to beat, and they can't. Nikari finding themselves their second wish.
As soon as Turnip lost the handle there, I feared this. 100% you knew that they were going to find Nikari. And Nikari's been in the right place, right time offensively for sure. And no mistake about it. Perfect passing lane, perfect finish. Here's Winthrop Garnet now get their 2-0 lead. Trying for 3 here off the kickoff. Had it not been for Og be able to get across and make that save, we would have been calling a whole different story and a whole different vibe here in this game.
Once Winthrop gets to that number dose, it's been so difficult for these Roosters to get running. Feels like something about it. Getting that insurance and more. It just makes life different and difficult, and the whole idea behind how USC wants to play changes. That waterfall is down. Great pickup and kick up by Phantom. Make sure he goes right back and out. Turnip looking for a player. He's got Og. Oh, they jump early, trying for a back angle shot, and they find it out at SJT.
Took a little bit of a bump, but Turnip waited for that one. That flick gets Phantom to bite, and then SJT right behind you as Og secures it with that last goal line bump. Otherwise, that would have been a save. I know it because it was Phantom, and he somehow comes out of nowhere to make every save. USC, a big 3-man effort on that goal.
Renable jumps just a little early. Didn't know if that would come off the nose of Nikari. Definitely finding themselves at least evolving over time. Problem for USC is eventually this clock is going to get a little bit low. Cameraman died for that spin, y'all. F in the chat for him. Well, less than 2 minutes. Winthrop just need to be able to defend the house. It is 2v3 downfield, but not a whole lot of boost. Turnip's going to try and take this one low. Can't get the 100. That means he's going to be very slow in the old foot race. You've got a nice extension here by Phantom, and they're taking away the would-be sure thing by USC.
USC, luckily for them, won the boost race. That doesn't always happen against Winthrop. And that's what allows him to get out temporarily. But SJT had to work it backwards. Turnip was there. It kind of caught Phantom by surprise, a little bit handcuffed, but he was able to gain possession. That is until he's demoed up. And now SJT will try and get the challenge on Nakari, but it's just not there. A chance here as Monster King goes back wall. A couple of touches there. But SJT and Og combine to try to get it out, but they're still not out as Winthrop Garnet continue to bully USC in their own zone.
Turnip is lost right now. The problem has become a double commit of rotation. Twice I've seen them just show their nerves, hard on the sleeve, and that everyone's got to be able to rally in. Turnip jumps early. This one goes right to the back wall. See how Turnip is already forward? They're trying to be able to occupy that near side post. They do find a connection here. Oh, with a putback shot! 2-2! Gamecocks ain't gone nowhere!
Man, SJT and Turnip were up in the same area, thought it was a danger zone, but really just kind of caught the attention of Winthrop. And they were just confused, not able to get to a challenge, and USC now here where they want them. Next goal will say a lot about how this series will go, if we extend it or if we end it. Here we go.
Magic number 3. Everyone's got to be able to find that moment. So tough to do. Vision 2, right at that upper echelon where everything comes down to a microcosm of moments. USC wants to be able to own the next one. It's a feed! What a save by Monster King!
Unbelievable! That was so quick. SJT and Og, we know how quick they can operate, and they found it. SJT, another quick shot, but that one denied by Monster King. Right back out. They have the numbers. Waterfall down, but SJT will swipe this one away, looking to transition it back down. They've got Og trying to shut it down, but Nakari's going to float this one down. Turnip, the wise choice to let this hit the ground. No surprise, overtime, game number 7.
Do we go the distance, or do we simply end it here? It's got to be Turnip that turns up for Monster King. Already looking for the kill shot. Og downfield. He's got SJT, but SJT doesn't have anything in the tank. To the backboard. Can anyone defend against him? Og responds in time. It's been a triplicate of threats. Og is everywhere and anywhere all at once. SJT is going to try and fill that same gap. It goes to as a loose ball play, and this one has been chaotic for USC since we hit bonus time. SJT hoping for a carry as we go down the pitch.
And here's Turnip. Finds Og. A chance, but that shot denied. This one off the ceiling now as Og tries to direct it back. Look out for Phantom. SJT backflips as well. This opportunity shut down and denied by Turnip.
SJT could do nothing but look. They had no boost. There's not a lot of time for them to be able to react, and now they have at least something in the tank. A big demo by Turnip. Phantom goes down. Key defender. They're trying to be able to lock it into the near side corner. Og wants to feed it from the backboard, but everything goes at least to a challenge. Oh my God! USC! From the top rope comes Turnip to get the championship!
USC, Turnip in right place and just slams it down. And Og, the senior in his last match with the Gamecocks, will be a victor of the NECC Nationals. Congratulations to USC Gamecocks for the championship here in the NECC. Wow.
Oh, goodness gracious. Turnip was lost in the sauce in that game. Everyone was able to rally from out of South Carolina, out of that Columbia edge. And they decided, you know what? We'll be able to reset it. We've got things settled. Let's go into an overtime and then just let it all hang loose. Og at the early, 40 seconds of that overtime had to find so many times where he disrupted every single player from out of the Eagles. And we got to give tons of credit over to Winthrop. They showed up and they were forcing this one to go so forward. And in fact, they were 2 up in that game, Bear. But USC, they showed their own resilience to be able to hold up the trophy.
Yep, that's right. I mean, they hung with it, and Winthrop is not going to go away, and they knew that. They understood the assignment. That's what you get with that experience. Sure, with Og, it's your last match with this crew, but that means that you've learned a lot along the way, and so they were able to get it done. But Winthrop, I feel for him because, again, another heartbreak here, but at number 2 for NECC, Nationals is unbelievable for Division 2, and there's still not enough for this team. They are so strong, and Monster King, that senior, he actually graduates on Saturday from my understanding, so for him, we say congratulations there. It's going to be tough loss for sure because Monster King, the amount of energy in ability, playmaking ability. We thought they were going to be lost when NECC was lost, but no, Monster King brought that extra bit to the table. They're definitely going to miss him next season. They fall a little bit short this time around, but they still have plenty of talent. And of course, as we mentioned, that great leadership and just a program to be able to work from as well. So not all is lost.
You got a couple of big seniors that are definitely leaving the pitch, one on either side, and I feel like there's still so much that we're going to be seeing from both these squads going to the next semester. And for all of you asking for interviews out there, we don't have that set up. We're not doing that tonight. Make sure that you do get that from your own programs. I feel like there's a lot of great words that can be found from your students, and make sure to be able to let them have their moment, because they definitely gave us some wonderful moments. Everyone did tonight. So I want to give some love to Division 4 and Division 2 and everyone that played throughout this Rocket League season. I know there's still nationals around the corner, and so should you, because the Forge Land is happening May 14th through 17th. That's Thursday to Sunday. San Antonio, if you're local to Texas or within driving distance, some of you are, make sure to check it out. Bear Light's going to be there.
Come see me. Come see me.
Yeah, he's going to be right there. His name is old Chris Lee Bear Light.
And if you are there, please say hello. I will be around. I will be casting multiple titles, but I will be available to hang around. So if you make your way out, and please come see me. If you're around the area at all, don't even have to just be local to San Antonio. You know, Dallas is just down the road. You've got you got all the rest of Texas, so like around this place. Like, have to come see me. I'm going to be excited to be there, and I can't wait to meet every single one of your beautiful faces.
And of course, everyone fairly undercuts how big Texas is. Dallas down the road is still like 4 hours, but still, if you can be able to make that trip, it's just a little bit away. So make sure to check it out over in the Forge Land. And of course, we also still have some time this week for some of these online nationals to complete as we go for League of Legends tomorrow, as well as Overwatch on Friday. But Division 1 is cooking in the books, trying to be able to get this land happening. Give some love over to Chippy, our producer, putting our faces in your spaces. Bear, it was an honor to be able to at least finish off my side of nationals with you. Really love being able to cast with you tonight.
It's been incredible, man. And obviously, I hope, in the future, we'll be able to get back to it here on the NECC side of things. I will not be away from me for too long. I promise you that.
Here's hoping. But for all of you out there, make sure to give some love over to your players, your family, your friends, your students, and everything out in your programs. You guys have a fantastic night. I'm Hail Monkey Man. That's Bear Light. You guys, we'll see you next time.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.